23 minutes of action. And Jed Spence, I mean, look, he played 70 minutes against Uruguay in the friendly on the Friday night of the last international break. But he's only started once under Roberto De Zerbi. So it's not as if everybody in that back line is playing regular football.
I guess you can look at that two ways. You could say there's a risk because they've not played many minutes, or you could say actually they're coming in fresher than some of the players because they've not played so many minutes. Looking at your face, Stuart, you think they should have had a lot more minutes under their belt.
I think people are a little bit deluded with this word fresh. Listen, I'm fresh. I ain't played for 20 years. Don't make me a better player, you know. I think it's very, very misleading. People say being fresh. I like to get in a routine, a rhythm, 90 minutes, going to major tournaments. I'm sure Gab's the same. If you said to him, like, have a month off and then deliver, well, he'd probably take that. I'm wrong individual, sorry, but most people, most normal human beings need the consistency of playing. And this fresh, it's a red herring. Honestly, it really is. You're telling me, leave me out and don't play me a great deal since the 2nd of December in John Stones is going to be helpful this summer? I don't see it.
And he has a history of picking up injuries. Didn't he pull out the last squad injured at the last minute?
He did, Stones. But the other thing to mention is that he always seems to be available for England, especially...
Dear Kitmen, we see you, we appreciate your work. While some fans reckon it's just hanging up shirts in dressing rooms, we know it's so much more. A football team's kit is its identity, its uniform, what sets it out from the rest. But it doesn't clean itself. That's not just the shirts, it's the shorts, the socks, the training gear, the boots, the other bits we sort out behind closed doors. Who's the one digging around in that smelly, stinky laundry basket at full time? Yeah, it's the kit man. They have a lot to work on in a week, from laundry, fixing damaged kit, repairing holes, cleaning boots. Then they pack the van and take everything they need off to the stadium, ready for game day. They don't get a lot of help when they get in the ground too. Kitmen are the ones unloading a full squad's worth of boots, kit, medical bags, and all the bits the players and coaches will need between the start of the day and switching off the floodlights at the end of the day. First thing they do is organise each player's kit. Make it easily accessible in order to avoid any dramas on match day. Once everything's in the right place, it's into the dressing room, lay everything out, put players' nameplates on the right locker, all the things you don't even think about on a match day. Once the players arrive, if anything needs doing, they call the kit man. In the meantime, it's on the kit man to help set up for the warm-up. The coaches don't always have time to lay out all the cones and put the balls in those weird triangle piles you see. As the warm-up is underway, the kit man then becomes a glorified ball boy, chasing stray shots and passes, making sure they aren't lost in the crowds. They eventually do the tidying up too, getting everything off the pitch before kick-off and assist the ground staff with any last-minute things they may need. After that, it's last call for the players. Then, at kick-off, they can breathe a sigh of relief for a few minutes, sit back and watch the game, enjoy the fruits of their labour. At half-time, check everyone's okay and everything's as it should be, and then wait for full time. Once the final whistle's gone, it's time to pack everything down, get the stuff that needs to be washed in the laundry, pack up the van, back to the training ground, and ready to do it again next week. Of course, each club differs, and different staff members will have different responsibilities, but we pay tribute to all of those who do it.
morning, everybody. You're listening to Jim White, Simon Jordan, and Emmanuel Petit, and we are live on talkSPORT. So, with the Premier League in the bag, attention now turns to Budapest. Can Arsenal complete a sensational double? Meanwhile, getting back to where we belong. What does that represent for Spurs? Also today, does Nuno deserve the sack? Is Roy Keane now a bitter Manchester United legend? Should there be an Usyk Verhoeven rematch? How does Pep follow Manchester City and 16 days out from the World Cup? Should it always be team over talent? Jim White, Simon Jordan, Emmanuel Petit, and we are live on talkSPORT. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. And just before I do anything else, I've been to the playoffs for the last 3 days. Well done, all the supporters of Hull, Middlesbrough, Bolton, Stockport, Notts County and Salford, because boy, did we fry in that Wembley heat. 33 degrees. It was something else. It really was a weekend that I can never remember being so hot in London. Emmanuel Petit. Bonjour, mon ami.
Good morning.
Good morning. And you were at Roland Garros watching the tennis.
Oh, yes. Yesterday was so hot, 37 degrees. It was unbearable, Very difficult, I was watching two women games, and I was thinking to myself, how can you play under this heat, It's so hot.
Crazy.
Yeah.
So I was in London. You were in Paris. You were in Spain, right?
I was in Spain, yeah.
And how was that?
I went to Spain for it to be cooler. It was much cooler in Spain, much nicer. I watched Monfils.
Okay.
Yeah, plays last game at Roland Garros. Yes, much cooler in Spain.
Right, right. And I'm hearing you hosted your own barbecue.
Yeah, well, hosted it, yes. Didn't participate much in it. Hired a barbecue chef and sat around drinking beer all day.
Oh, you didn't? You weren't rustling up the sausages?
No, absolutely not.
Okay. It was quite a weekend at the playoffs. John Bibby, big Bolton fan. John, you and I had a great conversation, and I'm so pleased that this show means so much to you, my friend. And if it's helped you in the way you were telling me it's helped you, I'm even more proud and pleased about that. Later on, John, as I told you, at Wembley on Saturday, when I get time out with Simon, I'll tell you more about how you've found this show has been great for you. And I'm delighted about that. Just take it from me, Simon, a man much older than me, John Bibby, loves this show and loves what you give it in the morning. And it means so much to him. Means so much to him. Monsieur Petit, Arsenal are champions.
Yeah.
Arsenal
So
are
happy.
champions.
So happy.
Now-
I'm not hearing any more critics.
No, a 22-year-long wait for the Premier League. Am I right in thinking that a little bet had been laid between yourself and producer Luke?
Well, I try, to forget everything that we've done a month ago now. So we made a bet, because he's a crazy Gunner fans, and he was losing confidence. He was always complaining about how Arsenal were playing, winning 1-0, boring Arsenal, set pieces team, things like this, and he was missing confidence about the team.
Yeah.
I said, this is the priority for fans, is to support the team, whatever happened on the pitch and outside.
Well, exactly. Now, Simon, you're going to enjoy this. Producer Luke from the other side of the glass, come on through. Ladies and gentlemen, Simon and I often talk about producer Luke. Here he is. Here is producer Luke coming around here.
Can you just say your name, what you do in your life and everything,
Tell us about the bet.
Listen, I am. You did say if we win it, I've got to come in and apologise. So I'm doing that. I'm holding my word. So, Manu, I'm sorry. Come on, the Arsenal. There you go.
Don't be sorry to me. Be sorry to the Arsenal fans everywhere in the world.
Me and every other Arsenal fan. We're all losing faith. You too as well.
Good man. Good man.
Well done. He's a man of his word, which
Yes.
counts for a lot these
I
days.
tried to forget this morning anyway. So
First and foremost, on a serious note, Simon and I spoke about it last week. Obviously, what does it mean to you? I mean, how did you react in Paris?
I watched the game, every single game the last couple of weeks, and I watched the game City against Everton, and I thought after the halftime, I thought, they're running the game, they're leading the score, it's over, it's gonna be until the end, and then Everton did a great second half, and they deserve to at least get a point. I thought they should have won that game, but anyway, after that game, Arsenal were champion. So I received so many text messages, that night, from people here in England, around the world.
Tell us, give us some names. Who texted you? If you
you
can.
were
Who?
right. 20 years waiting, it's such a long time. We deserve it. It's such a great day for Arsenal, for the club, for everyone's. But I was thinking, yeah, but how many were positive, for the last couple of months? I've heard so many critics even from the fans, from pundits, from the players, and I was thinking, hell, what's going on? Is it something against Arsenal? But
especially your mate Vieira, he's been quite negative. Even when you won it yesterday, he couldn't quite bring himself to give it all of it. Yes, of course, if they win the Champions League, they will be remembered as the biggest achievements. But not the biggest team, not the best team.
Oh, really? With Patrick having a day?
Compared to the Invincible?
Compared to you guys, yeah, or compared to the Invincibles, yeah.
I mean, if they win the Champions League, does that outshine what you guys did?
A huge achievement,
Yeah, more so than what you lads did.
I mean, nobody has won the Champions League at Arsenal. So
yeah,
you have the answer.
Yeah.
The history books will define it, but the eye test will not eclipse that. The 2003-2004 side is a better team.
Yeah,
no doubt about it.
Definitely, yeah.
But it doesn't matter in the history books in 20 years' time or 30 years' time if they win the Champions League. Now, I also, given the fact that I get it wrong 99% of the time, I said Arsenal will win the league by several points. They did, and I said West Ham would get relegated. So I'm going to take my currency out of this, my limited amount of currency.
Interestingly, over the weekend, when Mikel Arteta spoke after they were given the Premier League trophy at Palace, it was put to him, and it was an interesting response. You have any doubts?
There are doubts. I think doubt and
which is natural,
and understanding that maybe you're not the right person to. Okay, I've been able to take them all the way here, but maybe somebody else has to come and do the final job. But thanks God, we've done it, and yes. I feel a lot of joy and honestly a little bit of relief as well. I can control certain things, but there are many things that they are out of your hands, and that's why you need the best people around you to do that. And sometimes when you doubt yourself, to have people as well next to you to say, no, we're going to do it, and we're going to do it with you.
Emmanuel, did you get a feeling about that when you look at that? There's Max Dowman, if you're watching on YouTube, with the trophy in his hands, just a kid, teenager. And of course, Kroenke, father and son, were there. Is this a club with foundations to dominate for years to come now?
Looks like, because he's been a manager for the last 6-7 years now, and he's been improving the team for very well, for the last 4 years. And now we've done it. They won the title, but. When I look at the team, the structure, the spine of the team, when I look at the manager, when I look what's going on as well in other clubs, the biggest rival, and there are probably four teams, in England, against Arsenal. But the biggest one, I think it's Manchester City. They've been running the Premier League for the last 10 years, And the fact that Pep Guardiola left the club, for me, that will be that this is something very important at City. So who's going to come? I have no idea, but it won't be the same anymore because top players as well have been leaving the club for years now. And the last one is the Portuguese midfield player, But for me, Pep Guardiola, if you ask me who is the most important person, in the history of the Premier League, I would probably say Pep Guardiola.
And now he's gone.
Yeah.
So Arsenal and others, here's your chance.
It won't be a motorway because you have Liverpool, Manchester United are probably back, I'm pretty sure that Chelsea as well will be there next season. That kind of team, even Spurs, I think they will bounce back as well.
Yeah.
So
well, they don't have much else to do.
It's very hard to win the Premier League, but, I think the momentum of City is symbolized, with Pep Guardiola. If this guy leaves the club, the door is open.
Wow. I think Emmanuel's saying what a lot of people believe as well, Simon.
Maybe.
What an opportunity.
Maybe.
If it's Maresca trying to bed in at City, take your chance.
Maybe. I mean, there's not a lot to fix at Manchester City. There's a lot of opportunity at Chelsea with Alonso. There, the interesting thing will be slot. There's a whole raft of subplots.
Yeah.
Fantastic for Arsenal. Do I want Arsenal to dominate English football any more than I wanted Manchester City? No, I want the league to be won by a variety of teams. I want it to be competitive. Who wants a monopoly? The fact they've won it. What will be interesting to see, and we discussed it last week, Emmanuel, is I don't believe that Arteta wants to play this brand of football. I think this brand of football he's playing right now has got him to win the league. He's looked at it and gone, and this is what I need to do. It'll be interesting to see if they evolve into a side that wants to play a different brand of football. That's the next evolution in Arsenal, because despite the ridiculous criticism. You win the league, you win the league. There's a lot of noise about how they were playing, and we've listened to it and we discussed it.
Yeah.
Effective football rather than enjoyable football to some people's minds. It'll be interesting to see if the next evolution is Arsenal start to buy, because they need better players. They need a better centre forward. They're going to need to supplement the squad, and you do it when you're in a position of strength. And we'll see how much they do that. And it'll be interesting to see how they evolve as a team and whether they're going to evolve. Because I think Arteta's a very bright manager. I think he's worked out this is what we need to do to win this first league.
Emmanuel, nobody better in studio to talk about the Champions League final than Emmanuel Petit, because it's Arsenal up against Paris Saint-Germain. Can they do what would be a quite incredible double? We'll talk about that next. We're live in talkSPORT with Selco, where the trade goes.
Thomas Tuchel, when it comes to naming these squads, he always gives us a headline, doesn't he? Do you remember when we were broadcasting from Ascot and he left out Jude Bellingham? Obviously, Trent Alexander-Arnold has been omitted, so there is always a talking point. But I think if we'd sat down yesterday, before obviously we started getting all the news yesterday afternoon, and put our 26-man squad down, there's probably, 4 names in there that maybe we wouldn't have expected?
3 or 4, maybe, yeah.
None of us would have had Ivan Toney. I mean, not Ivan Toney wouldn't have had himself by the sound of things.
The fact he's at the embassy this morning tells you everything.
Yeah. As far as the back four is concerned, I think it will be James, Konsa, Gay and O'Reilly to start the first game of the tournament. I think we're pretty solid on that. So therefore, you can afford to take a couple of wild cards, a couple of slightly different players that fill gaps later on in the tournament. John Stones, we mentioned lack of minutes. You know, we can't expect him to play 10 games or 8 games in 4.5 weeks. It's not viable bearing the amount of minutes that he's got under his belt. But class is permanent, and Thomas Tuchel likes to have him around. If you remember last year when we were in Girona, he wasn't fit. But he brought him into the camp even though he wasn't part of the squad because he wants him around. Why is that? Just explain to us what it is about him that he really likes.
Well, these boys have got to spend 7 weeks together, you know, so you've got to have the chemistry right within the group. If you've got some great influences within that group, it's brilliant, you know, just to facilitate everyone. More importantly, I, as a manager, never had to worry about number 1 to 11. They looked after themselves. You take them to a major tournament, they're picked, they're happy. It's the ones from 12 to 26. I always used to make sure, as a manager, whenever we went to a major tournament, the day after we played, I would be one of the coaches on the training pitch, taking the coaching to show to those number 12 to 26, I'm here and I care about you. You have to do that. You have to do your work with
morning, everybody. Bonjour. Emmanuel Petit is in our midst, and we are live on talkSPORT, live on YouTube as well. I have to say, so many people at Wembley came up to me at the weekend, and I mean this, and you watch the show. You watch the show all the time, because as you know, you can get it on Apple TV, Android, Google TV, even Prime Video. And I'm so thrilled that you watch the show these days, as well as, of course, primarily you listen to it live on talkSPORT. Thanks to everybody who came up to me when I was at Wembley over the weekend. I had so much fun with some of these fans of these great, great English clubs. Emmanuel Petit is with us, and of course, we are talking Arsenal. And why wouldn't we? The club's so close to Emmanuel's heart, and now they've won the Premier League title for the first time in 22 years. Can they go one better and do what they've never done? They tried in Paris against Barcelona. They failed in Paris against Barcelona. Arsenal are now this weekend in Budapest going to try and beat PSG and win the Champions League title for the first time in this great club's history. Nobody better to put this to this morning. Emmanuel, before we do that, what is the mood in Paris at the moment? What are Paris fans, what are PSG
joy,
thinking?
Excitement, dreaming about winning the Champions League twice in a row, making even more history, and everything is green light so far, at Paris Saint-Germain, in France as well, about the Paris Saint-Germain. When you hear the sport show on football, radio, newspapers, everybody that loves football and that like Paris Saint-Germain, it's for me a little bit too much confidence.
Oh,
they have the feeling that they are far away from Arsenal. They are much better than them. If you look at the communication, of course, they won't say it, but the communication, internal communication, you can hear, something different, that individuals and collectively, the team is much better than Arsenal. And I can agree until a certain limit, but I don't think Luis Enrique will leave, the situation like that, the confidence, spread into the dressing room. But they are confident in the right way, and I'm pretty sure that the players, have a huge advantage because they didn't have a single game for 2 weeks, and they can prepare that. Can you imagine that we're at the end of the season, and they have 2 weeks to prepare the Champions League final without a game?
I mean, it's perfect for them in that. Isn't
I know it's perfect. It never happened before.
No.
It's strange.
Are they right to be super confident? Are they right to think we're superior to Arsenal?
Yes, I think so, yeah. I think so because for me, Paris Saint-Germain is the best team ever for probably the last 2 years, on the planet. They've been beaten so many great teams, recently and last season as well. And they went through sometimes games, with chances, but I think the individuals and collectively, this is for me probably the only team that can defend all together and attack all together. And this is for me the main difference between Arsenal and Paris Saint-Germain.
Emmanuel's not the only person to have had some communication with PSG over the weekend, and I know, Simon, you speak to people round and about the club. I mean, do you go with that? Yeah, we feel very confident because we're better than Arsenal, but quietly, we're not going to say that, but quietly, that is the feeling. Do you feel that they feel, yeah, we should be winning this. We should be going in there and winning this again for a second consecutive year?
I don't think that. And listen, if you're a professional athlete and you're at the very top of your game, you believe in yourself because confidence is a very big part of the way you achieve things.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if you don't believe in yourself, how is anyone going to believe in you? I think Arsenal will fancy this game. I think Arsenal can defend. We've seen that PSG can concede. We've seen that they can concede at significant times in the game when Chelsea they were very when Chelsea in the game that Chelsea lost 5-2. I don't know quite how Chelsea managed to conspire to lose that game 5-2 because they were dominating certain parts of that game. We've seen Munich do it. Arsenal can defend. They can defend probably better than any of the opposition that PSG have played against in this campaign. I think it's probably, if I was looking at it from the point of view of putting odds on it, I'd say 60-40 PSG, but I fancy Arsenal to win this game. I think Arsenal can go into this game full of beans, full of confidence. People saying getting the Premier League out of the way would have made a big difference to them. Yes, but now the narrative is you're going to make history, so the pressure comes back on top again.
Yeah.
So whilst you've got that relief of winning the Premier League, and that was your stock in trade, you have an opportunity to set yourself up with immortality. So you go into this game with expectation upon you. The thing for me is what kind of game it's going to be and how interesting a game it's going to be. Because if Arsenal are to win this game, I think they're going to have to nullify PSG. They're going to have to nullify PSG and take opportunities when they come. Now, that makes it not the most interesting games, but I've got a sneaking feeling, and I have said for the last 2 weeks, for what my opinion's worth, that I wouldn't be surprised if Arsenal do the double. I certainly thought they'd win the Premier League. I thought they'd win it by 9 points. They've won it by 7. So with that in mind, they won it. Looks like a canter now.
Yeah.
It wasn't a canter, but of course Man City declined in the last 10 days. But I think that Arsenal should go into it confident. But of course PSG, they're the defending champions. They've strolled through Ligue 1 again. They've been wonderful to watch, but we've seen, albeit a slightly under-aroused PSG, we've seen Chelsea beat them in the World Club Championship. Don't be under the illusion. PSG would have wanted to win that game. They would have wanted to collect the inaugural World Club Championship and all that goes with it. So it's doable in an individual game.
If there is a weakness in that PSG team, Emmanuel, what is it?
Wow.
Goalkeeper.
Even the keeper, he has improved a lot.
Needs to.
The last couple of weeks, and he has impressed the game against Lens, when they play 10 days ago.
You were about to say there is no weakness.
Yeah, I think I would have said the same, the goalkeeper. But when I look at the defenders, I would probably say Marquinhos. He's not that young anymore, He's struggling, sometimes when he's facing, strong opponent, the speed, but when you look at the team, the individuals, I don't see any weakness, They are so strong in every compartment.
Reverse the question then. How do you imagine that Arsenal, we know how PSG can potentially win this game because you can describe them as a better side and all that they are, right? And no weaknesses and whatever else. How do Arsenal win this game in your mind, Si?
You said it. Remember the game against Chelsea. Of course, it's the last game of the season after a long season, and the heat, was unbearable as well on the pitch. But when I look at recently against Bayern Munich, just play your football. Don't try to look Paris Saint-Germain in their eyes. I mean, come on the pitch, play your own football. You have to forget about how they play. You have to put something personal, on the pitch. You come on the pitch and you want to win that final. Doesn't matter who's playing, who you're going to against. And I think this is, for me, the solution. If I am an Arsenal player, actually, I will come into that final thinking, okay, all right, listen, guys, for 16 months now, this team has been the worst team to beat, on the planet. They have amazing players. They are so good, collectively. But doesn't matter. We have qualities. We are strong. We just won the Premier League, the toughest, league in the world. We're in the Champions League. We've been one of the most improving team, for the last 3-4 years now. So we have the quality, to hurt them as well.
But
tactically, I think this is something for me very interesting. And this, I agree with you on that because. If you try to put something that they never experience, on the pitch, because most of the time Paris Saint-Germain, they play against top team that they don't close the door. They play, their own football and they leave space behind them. Arsenal, they are a very, very, very tactical team, and this is something that Paris Saint-Germain can struggle against.
If there is a weakness, so it's Safanov, the Russian goalkeeper. If it can be deemed
and
a
Marquinhos,
weakness.
I'll probably say Marquinhos, yeah.
Yeah. If they go blow for blow, Arsenal, if they early on have a go at PSG, is there not a danger that PSG will do?
For me, if you look at the strikers, at Paris Saint-Germain, all of them, they are very good. Dembele is the Ballon d'Or, the Golden Ball. But for me, the most talented players is Kvaratskhelia. Kvaratskhelia is a nightmare. If you can block him, this is for me one of the questions, because who's gonna play as a right back, at Arsenal, because White is injured. Timber, I'm not sure. Injured. He's just come back, on the training sessions.
Yeah.
So is he going to be fit? Because you have to be 100% fit against Kvaratskhelia.
Yeah.
And if you can block him, you save a lot of troubles,
Okay. Emmanuel Petit with us this morning. So much to get through, of course. So much going on. It's 10:30 this Monday morning.
some of the attackers, Palmer and Foden, left at home. The two omissions probably that define the talking points of the squad.
But we all expected it. I've been saying it for the last 2 months, and Manchester City fans and Chelsea fans are like, no, you can't leave them out. It's Cole Palmer, it's Foden. We know what Palmer can do in big games. But when you're not performing in that position where we've got so much talent, like Rodgers, Eze, look at Bowen, unfortunate not to be in the squad. Gibbs White can't get in the squad. So I don't think it's a shock that Foden and Palmer don't make it.
One of the things that he has said, Thomas Tuchel, is that he wasn't going to take a batch of number 10s. He was going to take players that played in specific positions in that front line. He has only taken 3 of them. He couldn't take 5. He didn't want to take Foden and Palmer and then crowbar them into the team out of position. Is that the right call?
I think so, because we saw, going back to the last European Championships, Gareth Southgate tried to do that with Foden in particular, and he ended up having a nightmare of a tournament. Palmer was used only sparingly. So, yeah, I understand the argument. I would have taken one more in that number 10 position, because obviously you can play Bellingham deeper if needed as well. And I think if you're talking about taking one more, Gabby's dead right on form. Foden has been off it for a long time. Palmer has had an injury-afflicted season and hasn't really been the Cole Palmer of old. Morgan Gibbs-White would have been the one for me. You look at his numbers, his best ever goal-scoring season. He's carried Forest away from relegation danger into a major European semi-final. So I think of all the players that have been left out, he'll be concerned this morning. I was just thinking there, actually, can we lend a few of these to Scotland? They'd appreciate it.
Unnecessary? Would you say unnecessary? Stoking the fires with?
He is. I don't know whether that's an insult to England or Scotland at this moment in time. We'll dig deeper later.
Morgan Gibbs-White, the joint most goal contributions of any English player in the Premier League this season, didn't make the squad. 17 goals, Europa League semi-finalists. Come up with some big moments as well when Forest have needed it most. As a Forest man yourself, does that irk you a little bit?
I've looked at Gibbs-White's performances over the last 2 or 3 years. When he plays well, Forest play well. He does have dips in form, to be fair, and it's probably cost managers their job on occasion, to be quite honest with you. But
talkSPORT's Jason Cundy thinks West Ham's fans are at least partly to blame for the club's relegation.
Delusions of grandeur. They thought they were a bigger club. They didn't like the style of football. I kind of get that. David Moyes was hounded out by the fans, and the fans at West Ham have to take some responsibility, and they won't.
We understand Nuno Espirito Santo is set to be sacked after taking the club down, and Scott Parker and Gary O'Neill are the front-runners to replace him. With the transfer window open just 2 weeks on Monday, we're told Spurs are keen on Man City winger Savinho, and we're hearing Liverpool will block Alisson's summer exit. The goalkeeper is said to be unhappy about Liverpool's U-turn after being offered a 3-year deal at Juventus. Now, talkSPORT's Ian Danta reckons a lot of our pundits owe Victor Gyökeres an apology.
Do they not remember how long it took Didier Drogba to adjust to English football when he came to Chelsea from Marseille? I could see when Gyökeres was playing for Coventry City in the Championship that there was something about this boy.
Danta says Gyökeres is one of the most disrespected Premier League strikers of all time, despite his 20-goal season for the champions. Mexico's president confirms Iran's World Cup squad will commute to the US from their base in Tijuana this summer. As the war with the USA and Israel continues, Iran have moved their camp to Mexico. There's more at talksport.com.
Let me get this right. Tuesday morning. It's Jim White and Simon Jordan. We're live on talkSPORT. Always happens with a bank holiday, doesn't it? I still think it's Monday. Emmanuel Petit is with us. Great having Emmanuel with us, especially at this time, because Arsenal dominating the headlines. They are the Premier League champions. Next stop for them, Budapest in Hungary, when they will take on PSG in the Champions League final this Saturday night, and it's live on talkSPORT. Huge sigh of relief elsewhere in North London, because Tottenham did it, only just. They survived. Relief for Tottenham Hotspur, who stayed up in the final day of the season thanks to victory over Everton. They now have 2 consecutive 17th place finishes. Now, in a moment, I'll bring you some of the statement that came from a man called Peter Charrington, the non-exec chairman at Tottenham. He said a variety of things, and it's up to Tottenham fans as to whether or not they believe what he's saying. But post-match, once they all breathed this sigh of relief, this was Roberto De Zerbi.
From tonight, we have to start to organize and to build the new team. I think we have not to change too many players. We have 10, 11, 12 player good enough to stay. Good enough is like a players, especially like a people. And then we have to complete the squad with first level of players. First level of players, because we suffer too much. I suffer a lot, but I think the fans, the club, the board, the players, they suffer too much. We are Tottenham and we can't suffer like this until the last second of the last game to stay up.
They came mightily close, Emmanuel, to being relegated. And as I mentioned there, 2 consecutive 17th place finishes. And he's saying, 10 to 12 of these guys can stay on. You know, we've got, in other words, we have quite a number of them that can crack on next season. Does he have those players? Does he have as many as that who could do them a job next season? I mean, how many of this group go forward long term, do you think, with De Zerbi?
Well, if you point the finger at the players, I think everyone will say this exactly the same. They don't deserve to play at Tottenham. But if you look at the whole situation, take an X-ray, for the last 2-3 seasons, you realize that there is no serenity and on the bench. They have changed so many managers. And since Levy left the club last season, I think many people in the board have made so much mistakes, And I think the chief executive, I can't remember his name, but I think he has to take responsibility as well. So, of course, the players have a huge responsibility, because when you look at the squad, when you look at the money they have, everything, the new stadium, the fan base, I think this club should have played, for European places. But if you look at the whole situation, I think, for me, I don't understand what's going on at Spurs, in terms of sport vision. I don't see it, because when things doesn't go the way they want, they fire the manager. When they don't want this player, they take another one. That reminds me so many clubs, the policy of so many clubs, and they are wrong. You have to stick with your vision. But what is the vision actually at Tottenham? There is no vision at all, because the manager changed every single 3-4 months. So you have to come back on what it means, to get a team, which means for me, they have to change the mentality inside the club, because I don't see the same Spurs team, the same club I used to see for years and years,
Yeah.
The mentality for me is the worst.
And if they don't change this vision, they're looking at a third.
You can take the best player in the world if you want. Look at Manchester United. If you don't change the mentality of the team, it will never happen.
Are these just words, Simon, from this fellow Peter Charrington, non-exec chairman? The qualities that make Spurs distinct, our football, our ambition, the connection between the team and its fans had been allowed to fade. Football success had not been driving our decisions. We did not have the right expertise in key roles. We did not build squads good enough to compete in the most demanding league in the world. Now, a lot of that is pointing the finger at Daniel, isn't it?
Of course. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm not entirely sure what his qualifications are to make those observations, besides staring at the bleeding obvious, which was a season that he and his mates presided over. The fact that Spurs Spurs would argue that with Postecoglou, and Postecoglou made this argument, we deliberately compromised our league season in order to achieve the Europa League success. Now, I don't buy that.
You think so?
No, that's what he said. I don't buy that.
Me too.
But he turned around and said that it was clearly evident this is what he had to do, right?
Yeah.
So what's your excuse this year then? Because you didn't have that challenge, did you? You had the Champions League, but you weren't actually suggesting you were going to win the Champions League. So the performance this year is entirely on the management team that recruited and didn't probably support the manager they brought in because he wasn't their appointment. And there was always that fear. I told you in sort of November, December time, he'll be gone, Thomas Frank, because he's alienated. He's on his own, this new management structure that is very quick. The guy that was recruited by Daniel Levy is a sort of person that you wouldn't want as a witness for the defence, Vinay, because he turns his face to the person that's currently feeding him in terms of his attitude and response to what was going on.
Right.
There's no way in my mind's eye that Spurs will finish 17th again next year. Yeah. If De Zerbi stays the course and stays there for a season and goes on, and obviously he's suffered. He suffered getting the third biggest paycheck in the Premier League. Don't tell me about suffering. You came in because the financial rewards for you were so enormous. And if Spurs got relegated, it would never have been a consequence of yours. And now they've stayed up, you're going to get hero status because they were so bleeding poor previously. He will clean house. He will change the attitude of players. We can't run it both ways. We can't say on one hand, what are Spurs doing 17th in the league with that squad? And then turn around and say that the players aren't good enough. Because if we're suggesting that the players are good enough, there's something wrong. And that's up to the manager. The manager should be able to get more from these players. And the question should be, why are Spurs finishing 10th and 9th and 8th, not challenging for a Champions League spot? Not why are Spurs finishing 17th? And that's on the players and the manager. So this manager won't muck about. These guys will have their hands full with him because he will come in now. He's already now been seeded as the saviour of Tottenham Hotspur.
Right.
He's already come in with this huge salary, and he'll already come in with this expectation of I want what I want when I want it, and they're going to have to give it to him. So you have to put your money where your mouth are now, because when you buy Conor Gallagher in January as your sole signing to get out of the crap that you're in, that tells me that they have no football knowledge whatsoever.
What do you think of what Charrington says? Our commitments to you are clear. This is to you, the fans. We will build a squad led by Roberto as head coach with the right blend of experience, youth and leadership to compete at the highest levels of the Premier League and European football. We'll invest across multiple transfer windows to rebuild, balance and strengthen, with this summer representing an important first step that works. Do you believe it?
Yeah, because they're going to have to. I mean, last year they said the one thing, by the way, they are the money in the room. Charrington's their little Oppo, right? He's there in a current position because he's a Lewis man, right? They have been the controlling influence over Tottenham Hotspur for 25 years. They may have allowed Daniel Levy to run it on a day-to-day basis, but it is their controls, their financial budgeting, their restrictions, and the deals that Daniel did in conjunction with them, which has created this environment that's now been criticised. Now, with that in mind, it's a bit rich to suddenly say that it's everybody else's fault. I'm not defending Daniel against this. I'm giving it more balance than they want to do. They want to see all the problems of Tottenham Hotspur somewhere else. Well, you were involved in that. You controlled Tottenham Hotspur. It was your money. If you wanted Tottenham Hotspur to be more ambitious, Joe, then you could have ponied up more money, but you didn't want to. So let's get it right. Now you're going to do something different. Fine, fantastic. You said that last year. You said last year at the beginning of the season when you dispensed of Daniel Levy's services, how we're going to get along with that. As for Monday, we're going to try, right? Out you go. And now we're going to run it better. And run it better.
Yeah.
You nearly got this bleeding club in the Championship. And the reasons why your knees are knocking and all this crap about you not selling is because the reality of Spurs dropping out of the Premier League means that this $3.5 billion dream of selling this football club becomes dwarfed by the ramifications of Championship football. Because the moment Spurs get relegated, all the ideas about this doesn't happen to Tottenham Hotspur. This is a franchise that stays in the Premier League. That's the story that gets sold by big football clubs around the world, so you can get Americans to buy or Middle Eastern consortiums to buy.
And Charrington's saying, let us be direct. Tottenham Hotspur is not for sale. But Simon, is this a fork in the road moment for the Lewis ownership?
They might not have been for sale in the Championship because no one would have bought them. First of all, everything's for sale, right? That's a silly conversation, right? Because everything's for sale. Your house is for sale, my house is for sale. Someone knocks on your door and goes, I'm going to pay 3 times the price of what you think it's worth. Everything's for sale. Tottenham Hotspur's for sale, right? Whether it's for sale at this moment in time or whether they can find a buyer at the inflated prices they want is a different discussion. I'm not interested in what he has to say. I'm interested in what they do. He's been brought in to do a job, to be prima facie, facing out to the public, saying statements to the public. Okay, if you're so wonderful about your fans, get the concession pricing back in.
Yeah. Remove
all these sort of things that the fans have hated and loathed. The reasons why there's a difference between the fans and you now is not just the team's performance, because of the commercial reality of the way that you've treated the fans.
Right.
The fans have had their concessions taken away, they've had this taken away. Put all that back in them.
Yeah.
But they don't.
A few years ago, we saw the Kroenkes pivot at Arsenal. And they did. Look at what's happened.
Yeah.
Are we going to see the same here?
But there's a lot of reasons for that. First, one of the main reasons is that they saw Usmanov out. So that being able to get hold of Usmanov's shares gave them controlling influence over the football club. So they're no longer building a football club with their money that Usmanov was going to benefit from.
Yeah.
So that's one of the reasons why. Second, Stefanet came into the building and said, actually, I might pay 2.2 billion for this.
Daniel Wick.
Yeah. Daniel Wick came into the building and said, I might pay 2.2 billion for this.
Right.
And all of those things catalysed in the Kroenke's mind. Josh was put into the framework, and all of a sudden, they stopped treating it in one way and started treating it another. But the primary driver, I suspect, was the decision for Usmanov to be selling his shares to the Kroenke. So now they've got controlling influence. Now they're building a football club that's solely really for the benefit of their ownership.
But surely now, Emmanuel, the primary driver, and to you, Simon, getting into this break, the primary driver in this is that they have to change things because 2 years in the trot, they almost went down.
They have to. You know, you look at the players last Sunday. Look at the face. Okay, it's they get relief, you know, and they stay in the Premier League. But when you're a player, you cannot play like that for 2 years, you know. You cannot compete against the relegation. You have to compete at the top of the table. And you know that what you do is not good enough.
Leadership comes from the top. Irrespective of this crap that owners don't influence what happens inside a football club, if the owner is motivated, engaged, either economically or by being effective in what he does, then he makes effective decisions. He makes effective decisions and holds them accountable. Wherever you think of Levy, right, he decided to take a view. I know this. Decided to take a view on Postecoglou's crap about pushing aside the league form because they knew they weren't going to get relegated. They knew that the other teams, whether it be Leicester and those teams, are gone at 25 points. And the difference between Spurs last year and this year is 13, 14 points was the difference between getting relegated or staying in the division. This year, it was last game.
Right.
So this year, they got no excuses. So if Levy had been there, despite the fact he doesn't affect the football field, they would, on a game-by-game basis, they would have not been in a relegation battle. They might not have been in the top 6 or the top 10 or wherever people think Tottenham should be with the spend, the stadium, and the players they've got. I don't think they'd have been in a relegation battle. I think Thomas Frank would have been better supported. It would have been better guided. I think the sporting director.
It's impossible to know that.
Well, judgment tells me. My view of my commercial judgment tells me that knowing the personalities as I know them, this was an absentee landlord. I look at the chief executive, and all I needed to know about this Vinay character was the moment it came on top, he's suddenly no longer Levy's man. He's the next person's man. And whilst I understand that, because if you're not independently wealthy enough to be able to make your own decisions that you can go against the system, I think that's snivelling cowardice of management when you sit there and go, well, actually, the guy that brought me in, the guy that I did a gushing interview and said he was the future of Tottenham, everything about Tottenham Hotspur was good. 6 months later, he's a devil incarnate. Who wants people like that as a leader?
I'm going to put it out to Tottenham fans this morning. You've survived again, but what now? From Peter Charrington, a call to arms. And he also says, let's be direct, Tottenham Hotspur is not for sale. Simon says, you bet it is. Somewhere along the line, it could well be. Spurs fans, do you trust what you're hearing? Are you hearing anything new? And are things going to change at Tottenham? Is this the start of something new? Give us a call on that, especially in our midst today, an Arsenal legend, Emmanuel Petit. 03717 223344. Elsewhere, is Nuno about to get the bullet at West Ham?
Someone deal with it!
Not like that. Not like
We
that.
don't put the ball out. We never get it out of play. Ref, you've got to blow up. Don't foul.
There we go.
Yes! Come on! Come on, us! Come on! Come on! Get in there! We're in the Premier League, son! Come on! We've done it!
Well done, Jay.
We've done it! Get in! All you mugs that wanted us down!
What they have put
All you
us
mugs
through.
wanted us down!
What they have put
We've done it! Come on!
Well done. Abs, well done. Jay, before you go, I know you're doing the phone show. Just tell us. I mean, relief, right? It looked like at one point, Jay, you weren't getting out of this. How much credit does be deserved? Because he's come in, and I can see how emotional you are. But this could have been a disaster, couldn't it?
No, it could have been an absolute disaster. Tottenham can't be in the Championship, right? We cannot be in the Championship. It's been a disaster season. So much has gone wrong. Deadwood all over the park. We have got to just completely change everything. Get rid of the Deadwood.
Get rid of all these players who have been absolutely garbage. We've got the man in charge, Roberto De Zerbi. He is a top manager. Roberto De Zerbi will do things at this football club. Just let him have the reins and let him get on. But he's got to get rid of Richarlison, Moani, all of them. Get rid of them. They're crap. They're absolutely crap. And we find a way to do it. And I have to say a massive thanks to Aston Villa for not turning up on that day and gifting us 3 points. Because that's the one that kept us up.
We're forever.
Come on, the Spurs!
Forever in
Come on!
Jay, is there... I know the players are starting the place out for most of the season, but these lads here in the last 6 to 8 weeks, when they've needed to, they've also shown a little bit of fight, haven't they?
Yeah, some of them. Some of them. Some of them.
The reason we've stayed up is because of De Zerbi, not because of them. I couldn't...
Right.
Honestly, could you care less if you ever saw any of them ever again?
No, I don't care. I would have a fire sale. Fire sale.
Yeah.
The whole squad. Anyone who wants out, gone. Get rid.
Yeah.
Don't want to see any of them.
But again, Jay, this comes from upstairs now.
Oh, he's got to go as well. Joanne Lange, get rid of him.
What
The first thing they should do after a full-time whistle is sack him.
Announce him.
Sack him.
Announce Vinay. Get rid of them. They should be first thing done tomorrow morning. Come on, son. Come on.
Jay, how many receipts have you got to give? How many receipts have you got in the back pocket?
Oh, I've got a few, mate. But you know what? It's embarrassing.
Yeah, you can't celebrate too much.
Like, you want to celebrate, but
it's relief, isn't it?
It's embarrassing. It's actually embarrassing. Tuesday morning, and it's another scorcher, 35 degrees in places later on the southeast. It's Jim White, Simon Jordan and Emmanuel Petit, and we are live on talkSPORT. Emmanuel Petit might be used to temperatures like this, but we ain't. That is for sure. So much going on out there. Is Nuno about to be sacked at West Ham? We're across it. We're watching this with interest. We're also watching the situation at Tottenham, because back-to-back 17th place finishes, it's not good enough. Many Tottenham fans thought our time's up this time. We're looking at the Championship. We're heading to the Championship. Well, they're not. They managed to stave it off, and they survived. And now this fella Charrington at the top of the house at Tottenham Hotspur. The qualities that make Spurs distinct are football ambition. The connection between the team and its supporters has been allowed to fade. Football success had not been driving our decisions. And all that is going to change, says Charrington. Is it, though? I mean, what do Tottenham Hotspur fans listening this morning? Do you believe that things will change? Do you trust what you're hearing this morning? Now, albeit an Arsenal legend's in our midst, and Emmanuel would quite rightly, if he wishes to, want to chip into this conversation. Simon is going to chip in as well. Of course he will. Alex is a big Tottenham fan. Do you believe what you're hearing from the top brass at Tottenham Hotspur, Alex? Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. We never do it easy, do we, as Tottenham? I mean, the drama that we've been taken through now as fans again is almost similar to last season, apart from, you know, we had a different kind of end to it with the trophy being raised. This time, sustaining our place in the Premier League is an achievement, but it's something we shouldn't really be sitting here talking about.
Do you believe the top brass, so Alex? That's the bottom line question. Are they going to get it right? They've been there a while.
No, I don't. Nobody does. They say it every season. I think they need to have a reality check. They really need to look at their leadership model. I think they've made a good appointment here in De Zerbi. And one of the advantages we will have as a club going into next season is these 7 games he's had to bond with the players and actually evidence that it does work, which I think without us having any European football next season, I know we're not going to get ahead of ourselves because us Spurs fans are really good at doing that. But it does look good. It does look good. And he needs to make some massive decisions now. One of them, I think, is the goalkeeper. I think one of the reasons we stayed up is because Kinski played these games. One of them is the captain. I think one of the reasons we stayed up also is that Van der Ven was let to lead the team rather than the lunatic Romero. So these are big things and big decisions he's going to have to make,
He's right.
guys.
Alex, Emmanuel's saying he's right. What about Romero?
Totally agree, speaking about Romero, I watched, the message he sent, for his former club, while his teammates and the club was playing, the final game. So in terms of communication, the messages you sent to the fan and to your teammates, is wrong. But it's not the only one. I think what happened last season, finishing 17 again this season, I think that should be a strong wake-up call. Ding, 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 wake up everybody, because if you keep on doing what you're doing, you're going to be relegated soon.
Yeah. Ding, ding, ding. Mehmet, big Tottenham fan, do you believe this is a wake-up call and that Spurs will answer it effectively, positively? Good morning.
Good morning, chaps. No, I don't, not at all. It's copy and paste. Whether it was Daniel Levy, Vinay, whoever, these end-of-year statements, they're all copy and paste. But how ironic Arsenal win the league when Vinay is not in charge of them. I mean, it's the same thing year after year. The board, when they first bought this club, they came out and stated they have no interest in the football side of this. They're businessmen. They're there to make a profit. They're there to make the club rich, make their assets worth a lot of money. But every season, they just do enough to keep us in the league. They're not interested in going and challenging, spending that extra £100 million. Their transfers policies have always been to reduce the wages, buying fresh talent, hoping to sell the next £100 million Gareth Bale or Harry Kane money. No, I don't believe them. And the quicker they sell up, the better it is for everybody.
Okay, Mehmet, good call. Thank you for that. Michael, we'll squeeze you in, big Tottenham fan. What do you think? Do you trust what you've heard from the top brass at Tottenham, Michael?
Good morning, Jim. First time caller. I've been a lifelong fan of Tottenham. I grew up in Park Lane. I was first taken to a game aged 8 in 1958.
Wow.
I've seen it all before, heard it all before. It despairs me how bad we are. We got this guy in charge, but he didn't cut the mustard at Brighton in the end, did he? Look, I've got no faith in these people to run in the club. Hopefully we'll stay in the Premier League next year. Who knows?
I can imagine, Michael. Thank you for that. Simon, Michael there is obviously a lifelong Tottenham fan. He's watched them for years. Has no faith. Is he right to have no faith in these people?
He's right to have whatever view he wants.
Depressing.
I mean, that's the view of a football fan that is looking at his team that's been disappointed by them in the last 12 months, and maybe over the 78 years he's been watching, or 76 years he's been watching him. He's never been fulfilled. I imagine in 1961 or whenever they had Danny Blanchfield doing Pish and Run, he probably was with Bill Nick. But the fact of the matter is that you look at Spurs and go, De Zerbi will bin load of these players. Don't be under any illusion he's bonded with his squad. What he's done is needs must. He's pulled them together, told them what he needs to hear, and he'll sift the wheat from the chaff during the summer. He'll look around and go like, you, not even you, you, not even you, not even you, and he'll deal with the squad. So his idea that he's had 7 games to bomb the squad, nonsense. Half of those players that don't fit the purpose, where he had certain materials, he had to work with them, get them across the line, because that was his job. So he would have told them whatever they needed to hear, whatever got them focused for the 7 games that he had them to get the 3 wins that he got, and they look in the summer and go, whole different ball game now. Who's got it? Who hasn't got it? Who's going to do it for me? Who can I trust? Who can I look around this dressing room and want here? Going forward with Spurs, yeah, they'll be better because needs must. And when football fans say, well, they just do the bare minimum, what football club owners have realised now is that in order to be having a football club that's worth something, you've got to win things. You've got to be successful. It's no good just staying in the Premier League. You've got to be successful. So the difference between spending the money to be successful or spending just enough money to stay in the division is not that insignificant. It's how you spend it. Tottenham Hotspur are spending £150 million most seasons. They're spending it badly. They're buying the wrong players. But on the same breath, we're then saying the players they've got are good enough to do better.
Simon, I have a question for you. You were a former, president for Crystal Palace. If you were actually president at Tottenham, what would you do for the next season?
Well, I think they've employed a very good manager. And I think I'd make sure that the manager... I don't like De Zerbi as a personality. I think the way he behaved at Brighton was appalling. I think he spat in the face of the people that gave him an opportunity. I think he's a child, but most football managers are. And you have to understand that and price that into your thinking.
You did that.
We saw that in Marseille.
Do I think that he has the capability to build the culture inside this football club? Yeah. Would I make sure that I work very closely with him, make sure that he gets within reason what he needs to be able to build this team, set him very definitive targets and manage him and manage the group of players that he has underneath him by being very motivated by what he wants. So yes, I think it's a culture. It's not difficult to set up a team to win or build a business. You've just got to be very focused and know what you're doing. I don't believe that the football intelligence at Tottenham Hotspur, with due respect to mine's relative to my level, but I think that they don't know what they're doing in football terms. And I think...
What would you do?
Well, I think you just buy the right players. You recruit these. You look at the reasons why you're buying players.
You know better than me that what does that mean, right players? Because sometimes you have the feeling that when you spend 50 million on a player, you have a good, really good player.
But you don't, do you? Start with who? I mean, I said, with all due respect to breaching confidences, I looked at Bedad and said the other day, who in Christ's name's told you to buy Garnacho? Who would have bought Garnacho? Oh, it was 50 million quid. But your eyes don't betray you. Get more involved with understanding why you're buying players. When people like Brighton and Brentford,
a vision.
When people like Brighton and Brentford buy a player, it's like buying a house. They know why they're buying it, and they give themselves a bloody good chance of buying the right players.
We're at 11 o'clock. All of a sudden, we've got to move on. We're live on talkSPORT. Jim White, Simon Jordan, Emmanuel Petit this Tuesday morning. And we're live with Selco, where the trade goes.
Let's get back to some calls. Go to Darren. He's a Spurs fan. All right, Daz?
All right, Daz.
Hi.
How are you, Daz?
Relieved. I'm not celebrating like some of the fans that have come on from Spurs. I think they're ridiculous. The only thing I did when the whistle went, I turned to my mates who I go with every time, and we said we're relieved, and we walked out the stadium because we just had enough. And the way fans are behaving, and calling out Chelsea, that's ridiculous. We finished 17th. They finished
10th. Yeah, they won nothing.
Hang on a minute.
They won nothing, though.
So did we.
Yeah, exactly.
We won nothing.
Exactly. Yeah, but we're a disgrace, and so are they.
Yeah, but we are more of a disgrace. And the way Tottenham fans are behaving is ridiculous.
I agree with him.
Well, you will agree with him.
No, you're speaking. He's the first one that's phoned up talking any sense.
Dazza, right? It's a shocking season, but it's over. It's over. Season's over. We're up. Cheer up.
It's over. It's embarrassment. What do you think people like Glenn Hoddle look when they look at that side?
I know. Well, they've got to sort it out, haven't they?
Legends of the club.
Well, they've got to sort it out, though, Daz, haven't they? Got to start again.
Yeah, they've got to sort it out, but there's no good when fans are turning around like we've won a cup. It's ridiculous.
The stayed-up trophy.
Good trophy, that, though, Daz.
The inaugural. Well done.
Mate, it's good trophy, that. Staying up cup.
Yeah, it should be a toilet bowl. It should be a toilet bowl because that's what it was. It was toilet. It was. They should have stayed in the toilet where most of those players came from.
Holding up a toilet. Silver toilet.
That's a good trophy, that.
Holding that up a lot.
Yeah, a picture of that.
Yeah. Someone will AI that.
Staying up trophy.
Someone will AI that and send it to us, mate.
Yeah. It's unbelievable stuff.
Yeah.
Listen, Daz, enjoy it, mate. It's up. It's over. We can all relax now. Got the World Cup coming up.
He's the only one under a rock.
Just relax.
The only one that's got any. Only one that's got anything about him. Only Spurs fan today.
Corinthian Casuals are a team in the Combined Counties League Premier Division South. Despite that, they're one of the most important clubs in world football. Here's why. The club was formed in 1939 as the result of a merger between Corinthians FC and Casuals FC. Now, Corinthians FC were founded in the late 1800s when the FA's top brass were sick of getting pumped by Scotland every time they played them. As a result, a man called Nicholas Lane Jackson set up an amateur side which would bring in the best players who could all play for the national side. And it worked. It wasn't long before England were dominating the international fixtures they played, and it was largely down to Corinthians. In fact, in 1894 and 1895, they played consecutive games where Corinthians provided the entire England 11. But the thing is, the players refused to play professional football. They didn't believe in it. They wanted to spread the values of sportsmanship, competition, and played for the love of the game. It also helped that most of the players were Oxbridge graduates who didn't need the money. But instead of entering the league and cup competitions, they played exhibition football and toured the world, bringing the beautiful game with them. And it was this which spread the game throughout the world and made it so popular. Most famously, in 1910, they travelled to Brazil. And the locals in Sao Paulo were so impressed, they started their own team under the same name. Yes, the same Corinthians who won the FIFA Club World Cup in 2021, one of the biggest football teams in Brazil. Now, they were global superstars, and despite not being professional, Corinthians drew in the crowds. Everybody wanted to play them, everybody wanted to watch them. So much so, they regularly played the winners of the FA Cup in what eventually became the Community Shield, winning most of the time. They actually inflicted Manchester United's worst defeat, 11-3, a record which still stands to this day. Now, fast forward to today, Corinthian Casuals still don't pay their staff or players. The ethos of sportsmanship is still at the heart of everything that they do. And even though they're a side in the lower leagues, if you make the trip to King George's Field in Tolworth just off the A3, you'll most likely bump into Brazilian Corinthians fans who often make the pilgrimage across the globe just to watch their founding team play.
It is Tuesday morning. It's 8 minutes past 11 o'clock. It's Jim White, it's Simon Jordan, and it's Emmanuel Petit. We are live in talkSPORT, live on your TV as well. I'm going to revisit, quite a lot of people are mentioning to me Simon's outlook in business and how to be successful. And we're talking about Tottenham. How do they get back to where they should be? And Simon was summing it up. Going into the 11 o'clock hour there as to how they should do it in no uncertain terms. I'm going to revisit that very shortly. In the meantime, West Ham United. West Ham relegated at the weekend. 1-9, drew 9, lost 15. Nuno's 33 Premier League matches in charge. And now there's talk that Nuno Espirito Santo is going to part company with West Ham United. Whether or not that's going to happen, whether or not it happens in our time slot, and if it does, we'll bring you the news first and fastest. But this was Nuno on the fact that the club has dropped.
It's a moment of deep sadness for all of us at the club. It was a tough day. We had a tough mission. We lost the privilege of deciding our own future. We lost this privilege. We knew that it was not only up to us. We did our part of the job. It didn't happen, so it's a moment of deep sadness.
Deep sadness. Nuno's feet, Simon, haven't touched the ground. It's believed he was called into a meeting with owner David Sullivan yesterday at Sullivan's Essex home, and that would lead to Nuno's departure. It hasn't as yet. Might still. Does he deserve the sack?
Depends what metric you're judging it by. I mean, if you're judging it by you've got to give people continuity and give people a chance to build a stability, then no, people would say you give him more time. If you judge it, my mind's eye was always with Nuno Espirito Santo that he'd sort of come in October, November, December, but he didn't. He came in much earlier than that, and so you look at the run rate of his performances, and it's not good enough. Really, I've always been defending him because in the back of my mind, I know your ghastly little mate, that nauseating Barry Silkman's been saying for some time he's going to get him relegated, and he was right. Tragically. There's a balance between, is he a good manager? I think he's a good manager. I think he's proven to be a good manager. In this instance, I think the problems were deeper and he didn't get to grip with them fast enough. And I think that's on him. I think there were two games that defined their season. I remember them going away to Palace when they were in good nick and they settled for a 0-0 draw. And I thought at the time that might come back and bite them because Palace were not in good form at that particular time, and Glasner had gone off the reservation. It was all over the place, and Palace were there to be beaten, and they didn't take the opportunity to settle for a point. And the dreadful performance they put in last week against Newcastle cemented them alongside the whole season. So it's about what is the better alternative. It's very easy to sit there and go, well, you know what, he deserves to be sacked. What are you going to replace him with? If you're going to replace him with someone that's going to be Scott Parker, maybe because it's playing to the gallery, he's a championship manager that can get you promoted to the Premier League, then what are you going to do with him? What are you going to do with him in a year's time? Because you're going to have him just to get promoted.
Right.
So I don't know. I mean, I look at Nuno Espirito Santo and my mind's eye tells you that he's a decent manager. He gets a job done. But the fact is the eye test shows you that he got 33 points.
Right.
Or whatever it was that he got. And that wasn't good in terms of how long he managed to play.
Sure. In 33 games, won 9, drew 9, lost 15. Does he appeal to you, Emmanuel?
36 points.
For me, I agree. I think he's a good manager, but I think he should be sacked. Why? Mm-hmm. Simply because after Potter, he had a huge responsibility, and I never saw, the link between him and the dressing room. I think they made so much big mistakes, at the start of the season. Experienced players, gone to the club, and Potter had a vision, and he failed in so many ways. But I think, I never saw that link. For me, this is important. If you take a manager during the season, try to change things, it's because you want to change the mentality of it, and he never did it. I think this is for me the biggest failure. On top of it, I've heard many voices, saying that training sessions, 690 communication with the players, it was not that good. So for many reasons, I think it should go.
But interestingly, I mean, obviously, I'm going to bow to the knowledge of an elite professional, but there was an interesting time during the last 3 or 4 months where the resilience that West Ham was showing, the performance they were getting, was significantly greater than their counterparts in relegation, which was Tottenham. And if you pick the two sides and looked at them and who was going to come through because they were playing as if they wanted to, it was West Ham. Mm. If you looked at the fact, I think they picked up 22 points from 15 games. Now, of course, the previous return was so diabolical that looks wonderful. And it is, in real terms, it's not bad. So I look at the two teams, and it's interesting that he picks out that he didn't communicate with the players. But there was, up until, they've won 3-0 on the weekend, last game of the season. Up until the Newcastle game, most of the time, with a few exceptions, West Ham were in games. When they got beat 3-0 by Brentford, they were bloody unlucky. They had two Stonewall penalties denied. They hit the crossbar twice and the post once. And they looked like a side that was playing for their manager, that did want to play, where Spurs looked like they couldn't give a monkeys after those players.
From a player's point of view, Emmanuel, with you in this studio, I want you to be frank here with me. A lot of the supporters will think, well, Jared Bowen, Mavropanos, Matthias Fernandes, Crescencio Somerville, they're bound to leave. How many of these players will feel responsible enough? And I heard Jared, he's a good lad, Jared.
I see that every single season.
How many of them will think, well, we took them down, we need to stay and get them back up?
Yeah, but at the end of the day, it's all about money as well. Contract, So I think the money won't be the same if you go to the championship. So they'll probably need to sell some players. I don't know the financial situation at West Ham, but I suppose they have to pay. You have to play, a tough game. But those guys you mentioned, I think I've seen that so many times. Every single time at the end of the season, I saw. It's been the case. In France. With Nice. Nice is the 5th budget. In France. And are fighting tonight and this Friday, qualification game to stay in the French league. I see many very talented players with a price tag, huge one, but they don't do anything at all on the pitch. Most of the players sometimes they dream of being relegated. Like that, they can have a freedom, they can play somewhere else. And the transfer, the price tag won't be the same. And I see that so many times. Even when I was a player, I never play to avoid the relegation, but I've heard so many stories that big players, trying.
I'll be all right.
Yeah, they will be all right to do so. So I don't know the contract, I don't know the financial situation, but honestly, if I am a president, if I am a manager, that would be something very, very bad to cope with.
The interesting thing, Manu, is that a lot of these players won't. I wouldn't imagine they would be on relegation clauses because they wouldn't sign for West Ham. In this day and age, it used to be the default situation. When you were coming up to the Premier League, you sign players and they'd say, listen, if you get relegated, I'm not coming down with you. And by the way, I'm not taking a pay cut if I do. But when you've been in the Premier League for a period of time, you're now signing players that are going, I'm not signing relegation clauses. So it might not be that the players themselves are going to take a kick up the pants economically. The club is.
Of course.
The club is, and that's the consideration. But I mean, a long time ago, when we went down, I had a player called Andrew Johnson, who was an England player. And there was a World Cup coming up that year. And I said to him, you're not going. He said, well, Chairman, I want to go. You're not going.
But you know better than me that if your team, your club goes down, in the championship, the wages are not the same anymore. I think that would be a cut, 30, 50%, on the salary.
Again, I make the point. Only if their contract provides for that. And maybe, given Sullivan and his nature, maybe they have done. But a lot of clubs now, players will not sign for the club and say, I'm prepared to accept a relegation clause. So you get what you get. And if you and ultimately, a lot of players will do now. And so if West Ham...
Yeah, but for those who has a price tag, they know they will be on the market, just like some players actually, link with Paris Saint-Germain. It's easy for them.
We're not discussing the economics of what they're getting paid. We're discussing the ambition of where they want to play. And so where they want to play, of course, because they don't want to be any responsibility for the team being in the Championship, they want to play in the Premier League. So Bowen, and whoever else. And by the way, I thought Bowen was appalling against Newcastle last week. Wasn't even in the game when you needed your player. But notwithstanding that, he's been a stalwart for them. I get that. But the players that they've got there, the best players, will be sold because not only because West Ham need the dough, they've got to comply with their obligations inside the Championship.
Before we hit this break, are you sorry it's West Ham but delighted it's Sullivan?
Oh, I mean, I'm not. I mean, David gets on my tits, but that's not the point. I mean, look, the West Ham have gone down because they deserve to go down.
Yes.
And there it is. But West Ham, my view, they'll bounce back up again. They've been there before. We did it with Sam Allardyce 12 years ago.
We're live in talkSPORT with Selco, where the trade goes.
Talking about 2-3 players, right? And I get that Spurs miss out.
But that's the track record.
There's plenty of players out there
over the many
not
years.
lads from Middlesbrough who come off the bench in the playoff final. Like, do me.
Well, he was injured. He's
I know,
been the best player in the Championship this season.
Yeah, I don't want to sign Championship players. Spurs don't need to sign Championship players. We've got Championship players. They've shown that. We've got Championship players.
I understand what you're saying. Hayden Hackney, I think, would be a good signing. He's been brilliant this season. But I understand what you're saying about actually you need to aim bigger than that on top of the Hayden Hackneys and that. But do you trust the owners enough?
No, I don't trust the owners.
I don't think it's down to the owners anymore. I think De Zerbi's got full control. I think he will be the one who's picking the players.
They still got to dip their hand in the pockets. Well, they've got to okay. They've got to sign off the contracts.
When they got rid of Daniel Levy, saying that they're going to spend money.
But that's my point.
Everyone was going to change the narrative, and it was sporting success that they were.
And then what happened in January? They went and sold. They went and sold Brian Johnson for 30 mil. Brought in Conor Gallagher for 30 mil.
Net zero spend.
Well, it was net 12 with Sousa as well, but.
First team.
Exactly. My point is, and that's my point. So summer coming up, this is Tottenham Hotspur, and you can't get the Champions League players. It's not going to happen. But you can still attract with those big wages.
It's about
Alex Scott. They're the type of player.
Well, he came from the Championship.
Yeah, I know, but he's been in Bournemouth and he's top.
No, but they bought him from the Championship.
Yeah, but he's been playing in the Premier League.
Semenyo came. Yeah, but what I'm saying is, you can be clever with your recruitment. Antoine Semenyo came from the Championship. Adam Wharton.
No, but the point
is about to win a European final.
Now.
Why not?
Because I don't want him. We've got to sign the Premier League players who are playing in the Premier League who have been top draw.
The point, no.
Championship.
I think you're being a snob.
The point Jamie's making is upgrading the squad now from where it is. They've had those middle-ranking signings. They need polish to make them get over the line and pull them out of the situation they're in. Here's a question for
Michael Elise's done all right coming out of the Championship.
Go back to...
Who did you go to? Went to Crystal Palace.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then went to Bayern Munich.
Crystal Palace finished above you. They're in a European final.
Yeah, but you don't sign. We don't need players from the Championship.
You do.
Rookie. No, we don't.
We need a rebuild.
We don't need a rebuild from the Championship.
You don't need big time Charlies coming in.
What are you talking about? It's not big time Charlies. You've got to find the right prospect.
Everything else that was going on over the weekend in the world of football, of course, you'd be wrong to assume there was nothing going on in other sports. It was all happening. And of course, it was all happening in Giza, in Egypt, because Alexander Usyk beat kickboxing champion Rico Verhoeven in Egypt via a controversial 11th round stoppage. It wasn't a normal fight, though, as I said, because we had this elite fighter, this elite boxer in Alexander Usyk up against this, albeit elite kickboxer, Rico Verhoeven, who had plenty of heart but didn't win it at the end of the day. Usyk's former promoter is a man who regularly used to join us on the show and does so this morning. Alex Krasiuk joins us live. Alex, good morning to you. What did we witness at the weekend as Alexander beat Verhoeven?
Good morning, Jim. We witnessed something that, according to my understanding, shouldn't have happened, but this is the sports of entertainment, and for this reason, the fans, we have to be entertained. And I tell you the truth, I was curious to watch Usyk fighting the best from the other combat sport. And it did look great. Not in the perspective from Usyk's corner, but from the perspective as the event, as the fight itself, it looked amazing.
That's interesting. Simon, what was your take on it? Because I don't think many people thought Verhoeven was capable of dragging Usyk into the late stages of a fight.
I think Alex is right about we're in the business of entertainment. It's a spectacle. The whole scenario, the production values of everything were fantastic, from what I understand from Spencer being live on the ground.
Yeah.
The performance, and I'll get Alex's view on it. I know he'll be tiptoeing through this because of relationships. I thought Usyk's performance was appalling. I thought he was miles off. I thought he didn't look physically conditioned. Even down to his haircut, he didn't look like the Usyk that normally goes into a ring prepared, and didn't look. He was flat-footed. He wasn't the Usyk that we've seen before. And it's one of two things: either he wasn't prepared properly for this fight, or Father Time is catching up with him.
Well, do you go with that, Alex? Do you think Alexander Usyk had prepared properly for this fight?
Alexander Usyk is the kind of guy who prepares to every fight in the same way, including this one. But, gentlemen, we have to keep in mind that he's 39 already now. All the credit to Rico, who is almost the same age. But if you fight 12 rounders, it makes you feel exhausted at some point. And of course, this is not a kind of justification, but I know for sure because I'm friends with his current trainer, Yegor Golub, who had to replace the other trainer, Yuri Tkachenko, and I know that they worked exactly the same way they used to work before, and they trained exactly the same way, and they did exactly the same volume of work to be done in a training camp. But the difference between 33 and 36 and 36 and 39 is considerable, and it has to be taken into consideration by all the specialists while they are getting prepared the guy to such a fight.
I mean, he hasn't fought in 12 months. The physical conditioning of him in the Daniel Dubois fight looks vastly different. I take on board all the points and expertise that you're putting forward, Alex, but he hasn't fought for 12 months. And I accept the fact that he's a consummate professional who will prepare the same way, but aesthetically, he did not look in the same condition that he looked when he walked into the ring against Daniel Dubois. So how do you explain that?
There were some things that looked similar in both fights. He was flat-footed, as you mentioned. The amount of steps he used to make in the ring considerably declined. And that is probably something that's coming from the mind of the camp, of the team, rather than from Usyk himself, because they used to train him for a tougher, harder punch rather than for amateur style boxing where he used to win all of his titles. And probably that was some kind of, I don't call it a mistake, because at the end of the day, we have Usyk winning. And that's the major point. But yeah, it might be just a way to explain his inactivity, his footwork inactivity.
Let me ask you a pointed question, Alex. You stick that version of Alexander Usyk in against Ajit Kabiel or against Moses Atoma, my view, this elite generational great fighter gets beaten and beaten easily. How would you see that?
Well, let's take first point. If we go to the rematch with Rico Verhoeven, I think it's going to be an easy job for Alex this time because the cards will be unveiled. So there is no enigma in the fight. But if it comes to Itauma is still too young. Maybe in 1 year it will be sufficient for him. But I stick to the point which I used to keep since his second fight with Tyson Fury, that it's better to leave 1 hour before than 1 minute after. So as a friend, as someone who's been with him for 12 years of his career, I wish him to become the best, to remain the best in ages. And for this reason, he has to be remembered by what he completed, but not how he ended.
And briefly, Alex, what you're telling me is, if it was your decision, you would suggest to Usyk that he retires, that it's time up now, after everything he's achieved?
Even before this fight.
Even before the fight at the weekend against Verhoeven? Yeah.
Yes.
But he said this, hasn't he?
Does he listen to you? Do you still communicate?
We do communicate, but he has the camp who take all the decisions, and that's why I can be on his side. I can protect him according to my knowledge and my understanding. But this is just understanding of a former promoter.
Alex, it's always good to speak to you. Alex Krasier joining us live on this show. The upshot was, Simon, Usyk won in the end.
Yeah, but there was nothing special about Rico, with due respect. Rico came forward in straight lines, kept his head on the line, and Alexander Usyk from a year ago, with respect to the unpredictability, it wasn't that unpredictable. It wasn't that varied. There wasn't this wonderful set of angles that Rico was creating because he's a kickboxer. Alexander Usyk was a mile off. And it's surprising to everybody because they expect so much of him, and he may well be right. His relationship with him was perhaps severed because of commercial terms, and they wanted to change direction, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
But Alexander Usyk is now he's got nothing to prove to anybody. He's beaten a lot of them and beaten them twice. Quitting whilst you're ahead is not the same as quitting.
Yeah, good point. Always good to hear from Krasier. As Usyk won at the weekend. Much more on that later on in the week. We'll talk boxing on Thursday as always from 12 noon. It's 11:30 this Tuesday morning.
Lots of upheaval at your old club, West Ham United, as well. What's the first thing that they have to get right before the start of next season? Is it in the dugout?
No, it's players. I think recruitment's been the biggest reason why they've been relegated. I think it's obvious when you look at the squad in general, but certainly the signings from last summer, you think of the signings that certainly haven't worked. Fulkrug came and went, a player that was never suited to the way that West Ham play anyway. Mavropanos has got better, but wasn't very good. Todibo hasn't worked. Where are the midfield players? Again, you look at the squad list, they've got 3 midfield players really to choose from in terms of Premier League quality. So obviously the start of the season was terrible for them, and they've been a bit better. But when your manager looks to the starting 11 and then looks to the bench, what are you able to bring on? It is the big difference with players coming back. Tottenham had players they could call upon that I think have still capable in the Premier League. I don't think West Ham have that.
Yeah. Well, how did you feel as a former West Ham United player, learning, as Scott did this morning, that Jean-Claire Todibo pretty much refused to play in yesterday's game because of what happened at Newcastle?
I mean, if that's true, it's disgraceful. Of course it is. There's no way you shouldn't want to be part of saving the club from relegation. You could tell how angry he was. He blanked the manager at St James's Park when he was brought off. He was so poor in the game anyway. Should really have been looking inwardly at himself, not the fact it was him that was taken off. You just hope that sort of attitude. I don't think that's the norm. I think there is a harmonious dressing room
because they've been fighting together, yes, they have, haven't they? Since they lost Paqueta, February.
You can question some of the manager's decisions in terms of the starting 11 and the system. Certainly at Newcastle, you can talk about maybe the odd really bad performance. You can't have a go at the players for a lack of effort and desire. Those that have been playing, I think I've very much seen that, and I thought that was going to be enough to keep them in the Premier League.
talkSPORT's Jason Cundy thinks West Ham's fans are at least partly to blame for the club's relegation.
Delusions of grandeur. They thought they were a bigger club. They didn't like the style of football. I kind of get that. David Moyes was hounded out by the fans, and the fans at West Ham have to take some responsibility, and they won't.
We understand Nuno Espirito Santo is set to be sacked after taking the club down, and Scott Parker and Gary O'Neill are the front-runners to replace him. With the transfer window open just 2 weeks on Monday, we're told Spurs are keen on Man City winger Savinho, and we're hearing Liverpool will block Alisson's summer exit. The goalkeeper is said to be unhappy about Liverpool's U-turn after being offered a 3-year deal at Juventus. Now, talkSPORT's Ian Danta reckons a lot of our pundits owe Victor Gyökeres an apology.
Do they not remember how long it took Didier Drogba to adjust to English football when he came to Chelsea from Marseille? I could see when Gyökeres was playing for Coventry City in the Championship that there was something about this boy.
Danta says Gyökeres is one of the most disrespected Premier League strikers of all time, despite his 20-goal season for the champions. Mexico's president confirms Iran's World Cup squad will commute to the US from their base in Tijuana this summer. As the war with the USA and Israel continues, Iran have moved their camp to Mexico. There's more at talksport.com.
It's showtime on talkSPORT with BetMGM. We're ready for the action. Are you? Visit betmgm.co.uk or download the app. 18+. GambleAware.org.
And
we're joined by Alex Licence from BetMGM. We're going to look at a bunch of things, and we'll start by looking back at the Premier League. When you look back in it, what's your review of what we saw unfold, Alex? Good morning.
Morning, guys. Yeah, it's been a great season, hasn't it? And just before I dig into that, I do need to mention that I received a text message this morning from a certain former colleague who shall remain anonymous. He just reminded me that himself and Simon did have a bet at the start of the season that Crystal Palace would finish at least 25 points clear of Leeds. And he was just checking whether you'd plan to honour that bet of wearing a Leeds shirt on the show, because I can happily bring one down on his behalf.
Did I say that? 25 points clear of Leeds?
25-point handicap, yeah.
Did I? Is there any evidence of me saying that?
I'm sure we can look back. We can definitely get it.
And what was the potential winner going to win?
I don't know. I have to wear one of Leeds' shirts.
Oh, you've got to wear a Leeds shirt.
Yeah.
I would deny it. I mean, I would totally deny it, unless we can find it in the annals.
If I've said it, which I don't recall, I mean, I probably sort of snide thing I would say. So if I have said it, then I shall honour it.
Oh, I'd like
it. And after I've worn it for an afternoon, I shall wipe my jacksie on it.
We can get the receipts up, not a problem.
Emmanuel, you're looking a bit confused. He says he'll wipe his jacksie on it. If now that's an English word for derrière. That's it. There you go.
What are you doing?
Yeah, nous sommes là. We're there with that. So enough of Simon wiping his backside with somebody's jersey. What about what we saw in the Premier League?
Yeah, so I mean, the main focus this weekend, other than West Ham's relegation, it's got to be that battle for the European places. Bournemouth finished the season 18 unbeaten, and Areola walks away with them in the Europa League. Brighton miss out on the Europa League with that 3-0 defeat, and to quote Simon last week, will take part in the Conference League. But the talking point, it's got to be Sunderland, doesn't it? 2-5 to be relegated before a ball was kicked, 16-1 just to finish in the top half, and while they'll be playing in the Europa League next season, just an incredible achievement. Hats off to them. But the pessimist in me, it does question, how do we think they'll cope next year? You know, extra games, what effect that might have on the domestic season. Do you suspect that they'll have similar troubles to Forest this year, struggling to sort of balance both out, or do we think they might cope a little bit better?
Well, what do you think, Simon? They proved to be wrong, so...
Well, Forest pushed the self-destruct button, didn't they? Because they decided to have a fight between the manager and the owner at the beginning of the season, because the owner was courting another manager in Postecoglou and disenfranchised the existing manager. Regis Lebrou at Sunderland and the current Sunderland owner have done most things right, but we can't keep creating narratives of negatives. At the beginning of this season, it was, will they stay in the league?
Yeah.
Now they've done that, they've proved it. Next year, will they stay in the league because they've got the Europa League? I think they've done most things right. Second season syndrome is a big thing. A lot of clubs have gone up and done really well in their first season, but Sunderland to me looked like a very well-run club with a very bright young chairman that's proved a lot of people wrong, including me, and made really good appointments, and they've done fantastically well. People like Granit Xhaka have been a massive signing. Clubs coming up, looking around at what Sunderland have done. People like John Stones being on the marketplace are players that should be potentially, clubs like Ipswich could look at that model and go, good senior players coming in and getting the blend right between the team that got you up and the team that's going to keep you in the Premier League with some senior players is a good way to do it in your first couple of seasons.
Often you speak like that about what one particular club has done.
If you're wrong, you're wrong.
No, sure. Regis Lebrou.
Yes,
Lebrou. You know a bit about him.
Yeah, of course.
Emmanuel.
He had a good reputation in France too. So when he went to England, it was kind of gamble, and they were in the Championship and. They come up, they come back in the Premier League. But the way inside in the board as well, there's many French people as well, in the spine of the club. So on the pitch, but off the pitch as well. So I think they've been working very well on transfer market from last season. I agree. Saka's, I think I was quite surprised to see Saka leaving, Leverkusen and going to Sunderland, just promoted. And they did a very good job, on the transfer market. I'm pretty sure that they will keep going on this work, within the next summer, because the expectation has been changing, because I think they didn't expect to play the European Cup next season.
Yeah. Emmanuel, with myself and Simon, we're talking about Arsenal's task on Saturday night in Budapest against Paris Saint-Germain. What are you thinking at BetMGM then, Alex?
Yeah, I can't wait for this. It's going to be fascinating, isn't it? The best defence in Europe versus the best attack in Europe. And like you said earlier, it very much feels like whether Arsenal can keep PSG out. I agree with what you said earlier, Simon. I've just got a feeling that Arsenal, they're going to do it. And I think if anyone can keep them out, it is Arsenal, isn't it? They come into it full of confidence. Obviously, the monkey's off the back now with the Premier League. PSG, without a game for 2 weeks, when it comes round on Saturday, whether that'll have much an effect, I'm not so sure. But they've got a couple of injury questions with Hakimi and Dembele, but then also Timber for Arsenal. And I suppose if there's one team that you don't want issues at right back, it's the team that has Kvaratskhelia on the left wing. But yeah, if you're looking at the 90-minute market, we've got PSG favourites at 5-4, the draw at 2-1, and then Arsenal just above that at 41-20. Or if you want just to lift the trophy, PSG at 13-20, and Arsenal just above evens at 21-20. But Emmanuel, I'd love to know how you think it's going to go, and if you could give us a prediction, that would be great.
Yeah, I would bet for a draw. Yeah, a draw. Why? Because I think that would be a tactical game. I think it won't be, open doors, for Paris Saint-Germain strikers. So I think they're going to struggle. I think they will be very, very passionate, on the pitch. This is my opinion. I may be right or wrong, but that's why I bet for a draw.
Yeah, but someone's got to win. Somebody will be leaving.
Yeah, but at the end, extra time, penalty, things like this.
You got to give us a name. Who wins?
I still believe Paris Saint-Germain will win it. Why? Because for me, they are really the best team, for more than 16 months now. And I've been looking at Paris Saint-Germain every single game, just like Arsenal as well. I know that Arsenal can win that game, can be crowned, but it would be very, very tough game for them.
I mean, I'm torn between wanting an English club and preferring to bath up a lung and listen to Keown if they've won the Champions League as well. So I'm torn in that.
Emmanuel was there yesterday. I'm talking about Roland Garros for the tennis in Paris. What are you thinking? Let's finish on this, Alex.
Yeah, just to finish off that, PSG, if you do fancy PSG, they're 10-1 to win in extra time or 9-1 to win on penalties, so there might be a bit of value there. But yeah, the Roland Garros, it all kicked off over the weekend, and looking at the outrights market, with obviously Alcaraz being out injured, Sinner is heavily odds on as a result of that. He's as short as 33-100 to win it. And then you've got Zverev and Djokovic. They're the two behind him in the market, both of them at 11-1. So from a bookie's perspective, we don't think there's too much competition for the Italian. But if you're looking at today's games, we've got two Brits in action. Cameron Norrie faces Daniel Vallejo very shortly. And then Jacob Fernley plays Juan Manuel Cerundolo later this afternoon. But if you fancy the patriotic double, both of those to win, that's coming in at 7-1.
Excellent. Alex, thank you very much indeed. BetMGM. Visit betmgm.co.uk. Download the app. 18+, begambleaware.org.
It's showtime on talkSPORT with BetMGM. Keep things golden with responsible play at betmgm.co.uk. 18+, gambleaware.org.
You're going down next season.
No, we're not going down, mate.
You're going down, mate.
No, even you know that. Even you know
well,
that.
why am I saying it?
Well, because you know that's not going to happen.
What do you mean I know? I don't say things.
You know that's never going to happen.
Well,
we had this season was an absolute joke.
And what's going to change?
Well, everything's going to change.
Well, okay, name it.
Well, starting one with the manager. Right. The manager's come in and he's got results kept us up.
Right, okay.
He won't allow.
You said that last season.
No, we got Thomas Frank in the summer, and that was the wrong appointment. This is the right appointment.
Okay. But you said that last summer.
So everything will change.
You've got a new manager. You said that.
They won't allow that. They won't allow that to happen.
And you can't allow. You can't.
They won't allow that to happen.
You've not got a magic wand.
You can't sit there and say that Spurs are going to go down, mate.
I'm saying you now. You would be in a relegation battle this season.
Jace,
promise you.
Mate, shut up. What are you on about?
You're one of my favourites to go down.
What are you on about?
You can't just flip. Honestly, you've been in football all your life. You can't flick a switch and just think we're Spurs. You were Spurs last year, and you're Spurs this season.
Well, that's absolute garbage.
Have gone through the same thing.
Garbage.
Yeah, it's
the
worse.
Finished 17th, and then they sort themselves out.
Did you get better or worse?
What? We've got more points this season.
Did you get better or worse?
Well, technically, we got better.
Did you get better or worse?
Factually, we got better. Because we got 30. We got 38 points last season. We got 41 this season. Good season.
See, this is the
good season.
This is the arrogance and the naivety of you, and You're just Spurs, mate.
No, but listen, I'm up for a laugh.
No.
Listen, I'm all up for a laugh, right? And it has been.
You're going down next season.
Oh, we're not. Oh, Jace.
You're going down, mate.
Jace.
You're going down.
Jace. Come on, mate.
EFL Roundup. Come on, mate. It's coming. All you've done.
I know you want to keep the narrative alive, right? Just for your own little self-worth.
What do you mean self-worth?
Oh, you want to keep it alive. You keep your little EFL roundups and keep your little Ange mask and keep all that garbage that you've done all season.
What do you mean garbage?
Load of old guff. All right, load of old guff. And it's only been good because Spurs have been crap. All right, so I know you want to keep it going, but you can't sit
24 months.
You can't sit there with a straight face and say Spurs are going to go down.
Right, next season, you're hearing this.
Get a full rundown of all the Championship's biggest teams in the Sports Bar. EFL Roundup with Jamie O'Hara on talkSPORT.
I'm going to put it out there now, right? I'm going to phone the boss. All right, I'm in the break. I'm phoning the boss, not the mid boss, the big boss. All right. Okay. They're getting deleted from the archive.
What's going to get deleted?
Never to be seen again. EFL Roundup cannot be played on this station one more time. All right, because Spurs are in the Premier League. So forget your little EFL roundup.
Get a full rundown of all the Championship's biggest teams in the Sports Bar. EFL Roundup with Jamie O'Hara on talkSPORT.
Do a double take on this. 16 days to the World Cup. 16 days.
Tomorrow.
Every single game, Emmanuel, is live across the talkSPORT network, and I'm delighted you'll be joining us again before we head on out there. The French squad announced there, I'll get to England in a second. Is there the same degree of hysteria and interest?
Yeah, of course.
When the French squad was announced the other day?
After, what we're doing, the last World Cup, for example, but for the last decade, with Didier Deschamps, we've been very, very strong to beat, hard to beat, and we won so many things. So I think we are one of the favorites, to win the World Cup. I think there is a few teams that can compete with us, actually.
Who?
I would say Spain, first of all. I would probably say Argentina, because they won the World Cup last time.
Yeah.
England. When I look at the list, we're probably going to talk about it. But I was quite surprised in a good way, to be honest with you. And I will probably put a coin on Portugal too. And as usual,
Brazil with Ancelotti.
I think Brazil can make it until the quarterfinal. And I think it would be a failure for Ancelotti if they don't go until the semi-final, because the expectations for Brazil, are huge, and they are not there for the last 20 years now.
Yeah, strangely, no mention of Scotland. Interestingly, when the England squad was announced, there was the usual headline news as to not so much who's in, but who's not. No Maguire, no Watt, no Foden. What's it all about? No Cole Palmer. So Tuchel came in and said that it's team. That's the watchword.
I think from day one we were very clear that we are trying to select and build the best possible team, which is not necessarily to select and collect the 26 most talented players. teams win championships. It's as simple as that. And what we are trying to achieve in summer can only be achieved as a team.
Is he right, Emmanuel?
I totally agree with him.
Team over talent.
You know, it's the same, you know, when you manage a club, you know, as a manager, you know, the team spirit is more important than individuals. And we've seen that every single season when the team who won the big trophies, you know, are always playing as a team, not as an individual. Individual are very important, but for me, the team is more important than the individual. So as I said before, I was quite surprised in a good way when I look at the list, you know, from Tuchel. And I thought to myself, maybe he's copying, you know, what happened in France a long time ago, not so far away, when Aimé Jacquet became the manager for the national team. He decided to make strong choices, you know, strong opinions, and he was under critiques. A lot of people they were killing him, you know. But I want to remind people that during the European tournament in 1996 here in England, France, we went until the semi-final. 2 years after that, we became world champion. And then 2 years after the World Cup, we became European champion. And from that, they played the final in 2016. They played the final in 2020 against Argentina, won the World Cup in Russia. The reason why I'm saying that is because when he took over, you know, as a manager, he decided to take away, you know, from the team the lack of Cantona and Ginola. They were huge players. Both guys, they were huge personality, huge player on the pitch as well. They were to pick up their form, you know. They could have done so much things, you know. But Aimé Jacquet decided to say, no, I don't want them. The team is more important. So I would probably pick, you know, less talented players up front, but that can fit into what I want as a team. And we became what we are actually for the last 15 years.
Yeah, you were nodding when you heard Tuchel there speak. Do you think Tuchel is going to be the key difference here if England are to win it?
Tuchel is not English. That's probably why he did that. Because so many managers, you know, that have been managing the Three Lions have done good jobs, just like the last manager, you know. I think I did quite right, but he should have done better for me.
Southgate.
Yes. Even my generation, you know, the like of Scholes, Lampard, John Terry, huge players, huge team, never won anything. So I know that the identity of the club is very important into the national teams. It's been the case for Spain for years. But I know as well that it's not a surprise that this list comes from a foreign manager. Because he took the responsibility, and to be honest with you, he doesn't care at all what people think here. This is probably for the good of England.
You must love hearing something like that.
Well, I don't see it quite that way. I don't think it's because he's a foreign manager. I think it's because he's an elite manager, and he understands what's required to win things. And I think the previous manager didn't. And I think in previous games of experience, if you look at the Croatian semi-final, if you look at the opportunities against the French, which we could have beaten the French in Qatar, and if you look at the Euros, both in 21 and recently, there were opportunities. Now, the last European tournament, we got to the final. We were dreadful through the tournament, so we got to the final. We played against an elite Spanish side, and you priced that in. But when we played the French in Qatar, we had them on the throat, and I think Tuchel would have gone, right, now's the opportunity, overload, let's go to win the game rather than keep in the game. And then we didn't. And the Croatian, we didn't change. And I think that's where Tuchel comes in. His squad is his squad. He'll pick who he wants. He don't care. He's not going to let the British media determine who he picks. That's what elite managers do. Not going to be picked by consortium. It's not going to be picked by popular opinion. It's going to be picked by this guy for his reasons and reasons alone. The only one that raises my eyebrows is Jordan Henderson. I can't fathom it, but I guess he will have it. And maybe it's because he's good in the dressing room. But that's, Christ, we're trying to win a World Cup. Do you need a cheerleader? But that's a different conversation. I'm sure he's got his own view. And I'll bow to...
But you heard him. He wants a team.
But I'll bow to Tuchel's knowledge. My only view of Tuchel is Tuchel was not brought in to win the qualifiers. We can bring anybody in to win his qualifying games. Where we see Tuchel is when it comes on top against an opposition that are either on paper perceived to beat England or at least as competitive England, and there'll be decisions in the game, and then you'll see Tuchel. And you'll see Tuchel come alive, and you'll see decisions are being made, and England will be successful or unsuccessful for the decisions that he makes.
We're going to know an awful lot more, excuse me, once the tournament starts.
Yes.
It's hell of a hard to predict. Oh, they'll beat them and they'll go all the way or whatever. Do you think, looking at the England squad and knowing what Tuchel is like, as we've just articulated, that you know what it takes to win the World Cup, Emmanuel Petit? Do this lot, will they know come the time, if the time comes, what they have to do under Tuchel?
I think so. Things have to change. I think you cannot stay like this forever, in England. They have so many talented players, so many talented teams through generations. I still believe that one day England will win the World Cup because of the talent they have, the mentality as well. They just have to find the right balance, I think sometimes egos are becoming more important than the team. I've seen that, for the last tournament, with some players into the Three Lions team. So I still believe that they're going to win it. So is it going to be this World Cup? I'm sure that they will give the best because the way the team has been built, I know that a lot of people are unhappy, with the list. My only surprise in a bad way is Maguire. I think he had a very good season, with Manchester United, and I think he always done well, with England. But for the rest, I'm not surprised at all. So I'm still believe that Diego won't be as the same that the former competitions.
Okay.
Look at the players going into this World Cup. Look at the players going into this squad. There's a significant proportion of your offensive and creative players that are all winning things right now. You've got Harry Kane winning the Bundesliga. You've got Arsenal players winning the Premier League. You've got Marcus Rashford, irrespective of, I could guarantee you Marcus Rashford was going to turn up this season because there's a World Cup position for him to be at. But he's won the league with Barcelona. All of these players, Ollie Watkins has just won the Europa League. All of these players, Saka in the Arsenal team.
Doesn't always translate, Simon.
Well, it bloody carries a mentality.
It change a lot.
Yeah. It carries a mentality. You come into you got a group of winners. You got a group of winners sitting in the international framework with a winning manager.
Yeah.
Gives you a bloody good chance.
You boys at Arsenal had just won the double in 98. Yes. Did it translate for you?
Of course.
Were you walking out there thinking, we are winners?
No. But I totally agree. When you win title with your club, it's better when you come into the national team because you know what it means to win trophies, and you have the experience. You've been through, difficult times all together. You have to manage the ego in the dressing room, on the pitch sometimes, bad moments, things like this, the communication. So you understand everything. So you know what it means to win things, And for a manager, it's better to pick, players that has won something, for the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Instead of players that with big names, huge ego, but has done nothing at all, during the season, has been poor on top of it. So yes, in 1998, when we came into the national team, so many players we were winners, championship in our country, or different countries, European Cups, things like this, Yeah. So it was very easy for the manager.
I don't want to finish in a downer, but Alaska anyway. Have you found that medal yet?
No.
Oh, God.
Still not.
We've got to help you in that one. Emmanuel Petit, merci bien. You were
merci
brilliant,
beaucoup.
as always.
Come on, Gunners.
And we'll see you Monday morning. You're back over here.
Of course.
For Monday. Emmanuel has told us he's going for a little bit sushi at this stage.
With a glass of wine.
With a glass of wine as well. He speaks perfect French. Isn't that amazing? It's 12 noon.
Interestingly, we just want to get your sort of on this whole players, seeing what people say about them and seeing what people write about them. And just quickly, this is what Gabby Agbonlahor had to say on a player yesterday on talkSPORT Breakfast. We were talking about Spurs and their saying up on the last day. And he had this to say about Vicario.
These players should have been walking around the pitch on their hands and knees saying sorry to the fans. And Vicario, I'm watching the game. I'm listening to the commentary with Gary Neville, who's spot on. This goalkeeper has done nothing in a Spurs shirt, been dreadful. And there's a clip of him offering out Seamus Coleman. Vicario, we've seen you punch, mate. You can't punch the ball. You're not going to be able to punch anybody. So we know you can't fight. So have some respect for a Premier League legend in Seamus Coleman. But that summed up Vicario yesterday. All over the sideline, trying to be a coach and jumping on the manager's back when they scored the first goal. Paulinho, I think, is an embarrassment to that football club. I'll get rid of him.
So that was Gabby talking yesterday on talkSPORT Breakfast. And talkSPORT put it on their Instagram. And what happened? Vicario commented saying, scary. And Gabby then replied, calling him a bluffer. So, Ali, what are your thoughts on players coming back and hitting back at what pundits are saying about them?
No, I think that they're entitled to their opinion, aren't they? If the pundit's entitled to give their opinion, they're entitled to have a right to reply. But I'm not too sure I've been getting involved in it. I think they've got far bigger issues and other things to concentrate on. I understand sometimes players needs or feel the right to defend themselves. They should always have that and have the right to do that. But I just think sometimes you wouldn't want to be getting yourself involved in what can turn into a petty argument. When I'm not saying you should be above that, but you've got more important things to worry about. Listen, there's no difference to a pundit having an opinion than there is a punter having an opinion, and we've had it since football began. That will not change. I'm with Jeff on the Fernandes thing.
Corinthian Casuals are a team in the Combined Counties League Premier Division South. Despite that, they're one of the most important clubs in world football. Here's why. The club was formed in 1939 as the result of a merger between Corinthians FC and Casuals FC. Now, Corinthians FC were founded in the late 1800s when the FA's top brass were sick of getting pumped by Scotland every time they played them. As a result, a man called Nicholas Lane Jackson set up an amateur side which would bring in the best players who could all play for the national side. And it worked. It wasn't long before England would dominate in the international fixtures they played, and it was largely down to Corinthians. In fact, in 1894 and 1895, they played consecutive games where Corinthians provided the entire England 11. But the thing is, the players refused to play professional football. They didn't believe in it. They wanted to spread the values of sportsmanship, competition, and played for the love of the game. It also helped that most of the players were Oxbridge graduates who didn't need the money. But instead of entering the league and cup competitions, they played exhibition football and toured the world, bringing the beautiful game with them. And it was this which spread the game throughout the world and made it so popular. Most famously, in 1910, they travelled to Brazil. And the locals in Sao Paulo were so impressed, they started their own team under the same name. Yes, the same Corinthians who won the FIFA Club World Cup in 2021, one of the biggest football teams in Brazil. Now, they were global superstars, and despite not being professional, Corinthians drew in the crowds. Everybody wanted to play them, everybody wanted to watch them. So much so, they regularly played the winners of the FA Cup in what eventually became the Community Shield, winning most of the time. They actually inflicted Manchester United's worst defeat, 11-3, a record which still stands to this day. Now, fast forward to today, Corinthian Casuals still don't pay their staff or players. The ethos of sportsmanship is still at the heart of everything that they do. And even though they're a side in the lower leagues, if you make the trip to King George's Field in Tolworth just off the A3, you'll most likely bump into Brazilian Corinthians fans who often make the pilgrimage across the globe just to watch their founding team play.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's 4 minutes past 12 noon. It's Jim White and Simon Jordan. We are live on talkSPORT. Thanks to everybody. All the messages, all the texts, the tweets, and the calls so far this morning over the past 2 hours. So many people saying how much they enjoy Monsieur Emmanuel Petit, who's hanging about London this afternoon. He's got some business to do, as you might imagine, so close to another World Cup. And Emmanuel, as you heard before he departed there, is going to be back with us at the beginning of next week on this show as we really get down to counting the days between now and the United States for the World Cup finals. Emmanuel Petit's France, of course, are going to go close to winning the thing. Maybe England will as well. One thing we do know on this show is that when we talk boxing, it is so popular with so many of you out there. And whenever we talk Adam Azim, that is a very popular fighter as well, and he is in the conversation this lunchtime because Adam Azim makes his comeback from injury against Steve Claggett this Saturday in London at Wembley Arena. The whole show is being promoted, of course, by Ben Shalom, and both gentlemen have stopped by this lunchtime. The chief exec of Boxer, Ben Shalom, is with us, and the man to my right is the main man when it comes to the fight this weekend. He is Adam Azim. Gentlemen, welcome to you both. Good to see you.
Good to see you. Good to see you as well.
Adam, you always say when you come in here, it's a privilege to be here. You are so humble, mate. Every time I speak to you, you're always the same. And you always seem to be the coolest man around. Nothing seems to faze you.
Yeah.
Is it the same going into this fight?
Of course, like every fight I go into, every fight I should think positive. For me, my mindset's always, beyond that, like, because I want to be learning every single day. As Muhammad Ali always said, every day is a learning day. So for me, it's a learning day. Even coming in is a learning day, So yeah.
A learning day. Well, you must have learned a lot by now. Yeah. Unbeaten in 14 fights, 11 knockouts. You were scheduled to fight this fella Gustavo Lemos in January before picking up an injury. That was expected to be rescheduled, but the Argentinian is withdrawn. Yeah. And now Canada's Steve Claggett is in there. What do you know about him?
Yeah, he's a tremendous fighter. Very durable, very strong. He's a pressure fighter. He fought Teofimo, took him 12 rounds. If I can get the job done by stopping him, then that would be a massive statement itself. I'm delighted for Box BBC to put the show on, and after this fight, it's back to square one and straight back into the office.
Let's ask Ben then why Lemos, Mr. Shalom, wasn't rescheduled for this fight.
Listen, I'm as confused as you. Ultimately, he's withdrawn. We don't know what's gone on. We'll have to take legal action there, but thankfully with the IBF, they've allowed us to bring in a very, very good opponent for what would be a fight before Adam fights for the world title. Steve Claggett fought for a world title before, coming off 2 knockout wins, coming off a Teofimo Lopez fight that went the distance as well, and he's been around the block, and he's got better and better and better with age, and this is his big moment. This is his huge opportunity. It's a coming of age fight for Adam Azim. This is the first BBC fight that we've not clashed. It comes straight after the Champions League on Saturday night. It's a massive day of sport with the Super League final on BBC as well. So we're looking at an audience of over 2 million we expect on Saturday night to watch Adam. And for me, him, Moses, you're talking about the 2 biggest prospects for me in British boxing, and this is his toughest opponent to date. It's a massive fight. It's a massive night. And what's beyond it is very exciting.
Is it difficult for you, Adam, preparing for one boxer, preparing for one fighter, and then having to change that, drop everything, and fight a different opponent?
Yeah, of course. Like, I think they both got very similar styles. So, I think the similar heights, similar styles, and I feel like nothing really changed in this camp because I've got obviously a couple, strong people in this camp coming at me, very aggressive sparring partners, and we've been working it, especially on this camp. So,
they must be brave.
Yeah, they're definitely brave. Yeah, I thank them for actually coming down, for sparring me and helping me out for this fight because, sparring partners, as when they come down and help you, it's a good thing.
Simon, Adam sitting here right beside me. Do you still see Adam as world level contender?
Oh, absolutely. Has been for some time. I've never been in the camp of saying that he should fight Dalton Smith. I think they should go and win a world title and then fight Dalton Smith when they both got world titles and they can make some serious money and will draw the attention for the Battle of the British. But yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you look at his most recent performances, they've been all where they should be. Kurt Scobie, I think he was fantastic in that fight. I thought he was great against Ahara Davis in a difficult fight because Ahara brings a certain challenge. The fight that I thought really came of age for him was about 2 or 3 years ago, was against Fanayan. Fanayan, is that how I pronounce it?
Arin Fanayan, yeah.
A horrible fight for you in terms of made it difficult for you, but you took your time, took patience, and I think you learned a lot in that fight. I think Shane's a great trainer. I think he will win a world title. I think it's a great division. And as he says, the kid that he's fighting, Teofimo Lopez, we've seen recently Teofimo Lopez got his head handed to him by Shakur Stevenson, which is a challenge somewhere along the line that he might have to face. Yeah. But yeah, he's no doubt about it. Absolutely.
Do you feel to some extent unfairly, Ben, Adam here is still overlooked by some in the boxing industry?
Look, he's 23 years old and he's been developing as a fighter, but this guy's world level, probably the most talented fighter naturally that I've ever worked with. Power in both hands, knocks out his opponents. Every time you give him a test, he takes it. He's one of the most dedicated fighters in the sport. He's going right to the top. I think our job as a promoter, I've always felt like one of the first ticks as a promoter is make sure they're boxing in as big an audience as possible. With Adam, he's a generational talent. I truly believe that. And my worry with the next generation, we have a lot of talented fighters, a lot of fighters going on to big things. We want superstars. We need household names. Adam Azim at 23 years old can become a household name.
And that's key,
what,
Ben. Adam Azim at 23.
Yeah.
I feel Adam's been in the studio on a number of occasions now. He's like an old timer. He's in here a lot with it. He's still only 23.
Exactly. I think people forget that. I think, especially with boxers, and I've seen it with Moses as well. They say, oh, well, can Moses talk like Tyson Fury can? He's 21, 22 years old. These kids are doing it younger than anyone used to. I know we've got the Prince Naz and the Amir Khans, but these are the new generation. They need time to develop. And yeah, as 23 years old, as you say, it feels like he's been around for a long time. But, you know, Dalton Smith, 28 years old. That's the difference here. But this guy's knocking on the door now. This guy's about to win a world title. He wants the Dalton Smith fight. He wants the Teofimo Lopez fight. We wanted the Keyshawn Davis fight. Now it looks like Keyshawn's going to move up. It's the best division for me in boxing, and I believe we have the best fighter in the division.
Yeah,
truly. And I hope people maybe will see him for the first time on Saturday night. And that's the key.
I'm saying you've been in the studio on a number of occasions, but one thing that always strikes me, Adam, you are always as focused and dedicated every single time you come in. Yeah. That never changes, does it? That focus that you seem to have, it's laser sharp, in spite of the fact there must be, and tell me if I'm wrong, a considerable weight of expectation on you.
Yeah, 100%. Like, for me, like, the main thing, I just got to be focused. Like, I'm on a Nokia brick phone at the moment, like on fight week. I feel like a lot of people, they're on their phones on fight week, and you want to keep your eyes fresh. You want to just forget the attention on the social media. You want to laser focus on the fight. So this is why I bring a Nokia brick phone a week and a half out to a fight. So that's why, like, you know, I got to think it's here somewhere. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, it is. Yeah.
Well, let's see it. Yeah. Oh, brilliant. I love that. That's fantastic.
That's what it has to do.
Look, there's a lot of fighters these days, genuinely, and I've worked with plenty of them, and they make a lot of money, but they're not interested in becoming the best. They're not interested in winning world titles. They're not interested in unifying divisions. And that's why Adam's a breath of fresh air. This is his dream. This is what he wants. He wants to prove himself as the best. He'll make his money along the way. But he wants the accolades. He wants to go down as the best of his generation. And it's a pleasure to work with. And it's unique in boxing at the moment. And so I hope the nation will get behind one of the most talented fighters we have.
You're a big fan, Simon, as you've said.
He's very talented.
He's very talented.
I mean, if you want to see that, if you watch his face when he walks into a ring, you can see where his focus is. He changes from a very congenial, pleasant young man to a very zeroed in, and you see when he gets a opponent in trouble. You know, there's no mucking about. It's there. If a fighter's there to go, he'll take them out. Now, of course, it's translating from one level to the next, and the only time you're ever going to see it is when you're amongst the real elite. If he steps in with Shakur Stevenson, if he steps in with Teofimo Lopez, then you'll see where he really is. But he's got all the tools, all the opportunities. 23 years of age. He's been through a lot of experiences, a lot of expectations, been tried to be bullied into a fight with Dalton Smith and use that as a weapon to try and hit him with at the stage, and a right to not take that fight.
They won't want him now.
Well, that's a different discussion. But at some point,
it's still a fight you won, though.
This is a fight. I believe it will happen in the next couple of fights. I do believe that. I think he's ready.
Of course, but as long as I win a world title first, then,
that's right.
Then I think it's because it makes sense. It'd be a British showdown. I don't think. When was the last unification in England with two British fighters? Have been?
With Josh Taylor and Jack Catchell. Well, no, actually not, because Josh had all the belts, didn't he? But notwithstanding that, it's a better commercial discussion for you as well, isn't it? If you're at the table with a world title belt, you're not the runt of the litter. What's the pathway?
I think if fight Delgado, Delgado's in line now for the IBF champion. Right. Richards Hitchens has vacated. Probably wasn't the commercial star perhaps that we needed in the division, and he's gone and taken his money elsewhere. And that opens the door now for Adam. Keyshawn Davis, who's now moving up, he's going to be, if he wins on Saturday night. He'll be in line for that world title.
So there's a
very
huge
exciting
amount
time.
for you, Ben, riding on Adam here to come out on top. I mean, is he boxer's last hope in some way?
I think the fact that we're the only broadcaster on the national broadcaster, I think our fights are seen by more than any other promoter in this country. We have a huge rematch in Simpson-Williamson in July, and we've consistently delivered. Is Adam Azim one of the most talented fighters in Britain? For any promoter, would he be an absolute priority? 100%. But we have every faith in Adam, and every time he steps up, and for me, it's about who's going to get in the ring with him, and who's going to want to test themselves against the best in the division.
And if Arsenal PSG goes to extra time and penalties,
we're okay.
He's got to stay in his dressing room.
I think we're okay. We come on air at 8:30. He'll come in the ring about 10 o'clock. So yeah, huge audience on Saturday night, and an amazing day for
And
sport.
let's say you dispatch with this fella Steve Claggett. How do you see the pathway after that? I know you don't want to look past Claggett.
Yeah, I don't want to look past him yet, but it'd be nice to get IBF world title. I think it's vacant. If obviously Boxer and Ben Shalom, put a fight to make the fight happen for the IBF, I'll take it with both hands, because it's there, it's vacant, and let's see whoever fights for it can fight me for it.
Okay, and finally, you're going to leave us at this stage. Ben, I think you're going to stay with us for a few more minutes. What we're going to see from you on Saturday night, Adam?
A great performance. You're going to see a boxing masterclass, and hopefully get that stoppage on Saturday night.
Okay, Adam Azim with us live on the show. More with Ben in just a second. They came mightily close, Emmanuel, to being relegated. And as I mentioned there, 2 consecutive 17th place finishes. And he's saying, 10 to 12 of these guys can stay on. We've got, in other words, we have quite a number of them that can crack on next season. Does he have those players? Does he have as many as that who could do them a job next season? I mean, how many of this group go forward long term, do you think, with De Zerbi?
Well, if you point the finger at the players, I think everyone will say this exactly the same. They don't deserve to play at Tottenham. But if you look at the whole situation, take an X-ray, for the last 2-3 seasons, you realize that there is no serenity and on the bench. They have changed so many managers. And since Levy left the club last season, I think many people in the board have made so much mistakes, And I think the chief executive, I can't remember his name, but I think he has to take responsibility as well. So, of course, the players have a huge responsibility, because when you look at the squad, when you look at the money they have, everything, the new stadium, the fan base, I think this club should have played, for European places. But if you look at the whole situation, I think, for me, I don't understand what's going on at Spurs, in terms of sport vision. I don't see it, because when things doesn't go the way they want, they fire the manager. When they don't want this player, they take another one. That reminds me so many clubs, the policy of so many clubs, and they are wrong. You have to stick with your vision. But what is the vision actually at Tottenham? There is no vision at all, because the manager changed every single 3-4 months. So you have to come back on what it means, to get a team, which means for me, they have to change the mentality inside the club, because I don't see the same Spurs team, the same club I used to see for years and years,
Yeah.
The mentality for me is the worst.
And if they don't change this vision, they're looking at a third.
You can take the best player in the world if you want. Look at Manchester United. If you don't change the mentality of the team, it will never happen.
boxing update on talkSPORT with DAZN, the global home of boxing. Sign up now at dazn.com/boxing.
A massive weekend of boxing on DAZN. Friday night at York Hall, Charlie Edwards takes on South Africa's Siko Nkatole. And Saturday, the feud finally gets settled in Houston. Shock Foster sends his WBC super featherweight title against Raymond Ford. Later that night, pound for pound star Dimitri Bivol returns with his light heavyweight titles on the line against mandatory challenger Michael Effort. 3 fights, 1 weekend, all on DAZN. Boxer Chief Executive Ben Shalom remains in studio with Simon and myself this lunchtime. That means we carry on our boxing chat. And of course, Adam Azim very much was the subject of our attention moments ago as he fights this weekend. Is he as nice as he seems, Adam Azim, incidentally? Every single time he comes in here, he's an absolute credit to himself.
Listen, I've seen him lose it a couple of times. He's a kid. He's a street kid as well. You know, he's very humble, very polite, very driven, very disciplined. But when it kicks off, he can be a naughty boy. But that's why he's a fighter, and he loves to scrap. He loves to knock people out. And it's a big night for him on Saturday night. There's a lot of pressure on him.
What about the big night in Egypt we've just witnessed? Rico Verhoeven losing out in the end late on to Alexander Usyk. What was your take on it?
I thought it was genuinely disgraceful. I know Peter Fiore very well. He trains Gradus Kraus, who's with us, another Dutch fighter who I think will go on to amazing things, and Hughie Fiore as well. I knew there was something going to happen there. Genuinely, I've been speaking to him a lot. He's been in the gym for 6 months. Rico is an absolute... We had a show in Holland about 3 weeks ago with Gradus Kraus. Rico's a superstar. He's David Beckham over there. Incredible. But he's a phenomenal fighter as well. And that was his first time in a boxing ring. Usyk, of course, was not the same. Did he prepare the same? Has it all just caught up with him? Possibly a bit of both. But yeah, Rico, for me, survived that round and probably going into the final round just needed to survive to win. So really unfortunate. Phenomenal job by Peter Fiore, who, for me, one of the best trainers in the country, because he doesn't play the politics games and isn't up people's arse and he doesn't do this. He doesn't get the credit or the fighters that he deserves. But he's quietly building an incredible stable. So I was just delighted for him to get back in the mix and show what he can do.
And Ben, Rico wants a rematch. Does he deserve one?
He has to have a rematch. I'd love to. I wanted to see the fight in Holland originally. That would have sold out a stadium in Holland. That's how big he is. So I'd like to see it. Whether he gets it, who knows? But yeah, a great, unbelievable
You don't think
spectacle.
he does?
Oh, I think it's an unfair outcome. I don't think that the fight should have been stopped. I think the referee should have let him. If he wants to stop it, he can stop on his stall. It doesn't have to stop it there and then. The fighter got an opportunity to recover, and Ben's right. He was leading the fight, but it was a dreadful performance from Usyk. Next time round, Usyk would do far better. But there are other fighters in this division that should be getting world title shots.
Yeah.
Rico Verhoeven was brought in. I understand the dynamic of being a world champion in his own weight, in his own discipline, being able to translate with the WBC. But Ajit Kabil's sitting there with his thumb up his backside. He should be able to fight for a world title. Not that Usyk would want to fight Ajit Kabil based upon that kind of performance.
But you think it's Kabil's time for an opportunity?
Yeah, I mean, listen. I think Usyk is a wonderful fighter. I think he's a wonderful human being. I think when he comes into our environments, he's an absolute class athlete in everything he does. First class person. But that performance was substandard, and it wasn't because Rico Verhoeven was so brilliant. It's because he was poor. Rico Verhoeven just was a world level kickboxer. Impersonating a boxer, and there was nothing sophisticated. But there was no, look at the angles that he's doing. He came forward in straight lines.
Yeah,
and Usyk was poor. His footwork was poor. His conditioning looked poor to me. He was miles off.
I think that's unfair. I think Rico is a top fighter, and it was his first fight. And yes, there's things to get better
He's a top
on.
kickboxer.
But, no, this guy has power and hasn't got many miles on the clock, and that's probably the difference between him and Usyk.
Eubank Jr. Says he's a free agent. Clear that up. Are you still promoting him?
We are. We have a solid contract with him, but no one. I saw what Simon. No one really cares until he's back in the ring and fit and ready to take a fight. And I just hope that is as soon as possible.
But why is he saying it?
Look, I mean, Chris is his own man.
You've lifted the phone to him in recent times and said, "What are you on about?"
Chris is his own man, and part of the reason that we work.
What's the point of saying things like that? I mean, if you've got a contract with somebody, I mean, are you going to be in the next bracket of scumbag promoters next time he opens his mouth? Is that what you're going to be?
Listen, I've always got on with Chris personally, and and he likes to be his own man, and that is it. But
you can be your own man, but if you're under contract with somebody, you're under contract. What's the point of saying you're not if you are?
Yeah, of course.
It's
No,
silly, isn't it?
I understand that. But the main thing is he gets fit and he gets back in the ring.
The main thing is, where's this nonsense about he's going to be fighting with an exciting super middleweight, one of the top 5 in the world? Who's that going to be then?
He's going to be fighting by the end of the year, and after Azim's fight, we'll be sitting down and we'll be making.
No, it's not going to be an exciting fight.
It will be a big fight. It will do
and you'll be promoting
huge numbers.
And you'll be promoting
and I'll be promoting it.
But he says he's a free agent, so he's trying to elbow you out.
Listen, Chris is his own man. I'm not going to get into it. He is what I have a good relationship with him personally, and it will get sorted. He's had a lot of promoters in his time, but he's his own man, and I respect it.
Before you leave us, the man behind Saudi Arabia's takeover of boxing, Turki Al Sheikh, says he wants to buy Derby County. Can either of you two enlighten me?
I think he has an interest in football. I think he's a long way away. I mean, might not even pass the fit and proper persons test. He's a long way away from buying PI fund. If I'm being slightly facetious, but the PI fund, if he can separate the powers and detail to the EFL that he's not part of that. I think it's a long way away. I think he has interest in football, and he has interest in making sure that people are aware of his interest in things.
But why do we think he's got interest in football at this? I mean, at one stage it was going to be Millwall.
I think
about Sheffield Wednesday. I mean,
because it's the biggest sport in the world.
I think he should be looking at the mighty Bolton Wanderers. Much better buy than Derby County.
Well, the problem is, though, Simon, he can't do in football what he's managed to do in boxing, can he?
No, but the scale of football is far greater. And so the attention and the awareness and the opportunity in football is far greater than it is in boxing, because the ceiling of football is far greater. If you look at the fact that 5 or 6 billion people around the world love football.
Yeah.
Boxing is getting bigger and better and bolder.
Yeah, but it's more restricted in football as opposed to boxing.
But the bandwidth is wider. So he might be more restricted, but notwithstanding that, it didn't stop the Abu Dhabis from wanting to buy Man City and create their outcomes as a result of it. It hasn't stopped other people doing things in this sport. It hasn't stopped the Qataris buying PSG and using it for whatever they want to. So it's a natural
Turkey's
conclusion.
always had an interest in football, to be fair.
Yeah.
I think he has or did have Almeria. He's a big United fan, and to be honest, what he'll do is bring a lot of capital and a lot of passion behind any club. So I think it'd be great if he got into football. I think he'd do a wonderful job. I just hope it's for the right club.
Would you be worried, Ben, if he was to leave boxing for football?
No, I wouldn't. Look, ultimately, it's good having capital in any of the sports, and Turkey's done a phenomenal job with boxing.
How you getting on with him now?
Listen, he's supporting me. I will never have I've said before, I'll never have a bad word to say about Turkey. He supported me throughout things when others haven't. It's been coming into this sport as a young man with the old guard. It's very easy for them all to put their walls up. Turkey didn't, and so I'll always respect him for that. He's his own man, and let's see what happens.
Okay. Ben, as always, great to see you. Ben Shalom with us live in studio this lunchtime. Ben's fighter Adam Azim goes in this weekend. Straight after the Champions League final. It's on the BBC, did I hear you say?
Mm-hmm.
Ben Shalom with us live, and it's 12:30. Now, Simon, you're going to enjoy this. Producer Luke from the other side of the glass, come on through. Ladies and gentlemen, Simon and I often talk about producer Luke. Here he is. Here is the show coming around here.
Can you just say your name, what you do in your life, and everything?
Tell us about the best.
Listen, I am. You did say if we win it, I've got to come in and apologise. So I'm doing that. I'm holding my word. So. Manu, I'm sorry. I'm on the Arsenal. There you go.
Don't be sorry to me. Be sorry to the Arsenal fans everywhere in the world.
Me and every other Arsenal fan. We're all losing faith. You too as well.
Good man. Good man.
Well done. He's a man of his word, which counts for a lot these days.
I tried to forget this morning anyway. So,
first and foremost, on a serious note, Simon and I spoke about it last week. Obviously. What does it mean to you? I mean, how did you react in Paris?
I watched the game, every single game the last couple of weeks, and I watched the game City against Everton, and I thought after the halftime, I thought, they're running the game, they're leading the score, it's over. It's gonna be until the end, and then Everton did a great second half, and they deserve to at least get a point. I thought they should have won that game, but anyway, after that game, Arsenal were champion. So I received so many text messages, that night, from people here in England, around the world.
Tell us, give us some names. Who texted you? If you can.
Were right. You're 20 years waiting, it's such a long time. We deserve it. It's such a great day for Arsenal, for the club, for everyone's. But I was thinking, but how many were positive, for the last couple of months? I've heard so many critics even from the fans, from pundits, from the players, and I was thinking, hell, what's going on? Is it something against Arsenal? But
especially your mate Vieira, he's been quite negative. Even when you won it yesterday, he couldn't quite bring himself to give it all of it. Yes, of course, if they win the Champions League, they will be remembered as the biggest achievements. But not the biggest team, not the best team.
Oh, really? With Patrick having a day?
Compared to the Invincible?
Compared to you guys, yeah. Or compared to the Invincibles, yeah.
talkSPORT's Jason Condy thinks West Ham's fans are at least partly to blame for the club's relegation.
Delusions of grandeur. They thought they were a bigger club. They didn't like the style of football. I kind of get that. David Moyes was hounded out by the fans, and the fans at West Ham have to take some responsibility, and they won't.
We understand Nuno Espirito Santo is set to be sacked after taking the club down, and Scott Parker and Gary O'Neill are the front-runners to replace him. With the transfer window open just 2 weeks on Monday, we're told Spurs are keen on Man City winger Savinho, and we're hearing Liverpool will block Alisson's summer exit. The goalkeeper is said to be unhappy about Liverpool's U-turn after being offered a 3-year deal at Juventus. Now, talkSPORT's Ian Danter reckons a lot of our pundits owe Victor Gyökeres an apology.
Do they not remember how long it took Didier Drogba to adjust to English football when he came to Chelsea from Marseille? I could see when Gyökeres was playing for Coventry City in the Championship that there was something about this boy.
Danter says Gyökeres is one of the most disrespected Premier League strikers of all time, despite his 20-goal season for the champions. Mexico's president confirms Iran's World Cup squad will commute to the US from their base in Tijuana this summer. As the war with the USA and Israel continues, Iran have moved their camp to Mexico. There's more at talksport.com.
Get ready to get the ultimate football fan winning feeling with talkSPORT Win.
Now, with the 2026 FIFA World Cup almost here, you could be at England's first game in Croatia on June the 17th. Return flights, accommodation, spending money, tickets, and the official Adidas match ball, the Trionda, all thrown in. Here's how to enter. For your chance to win, head to talksportwin.com or text WIN to 83338. Text and online entries cost £2.50 plus your standard network rate. The number to call is 0343 418 7260. Entries must be in by 4 o'clock Monday afternoon. 18 plus. UK residents only. It's a talkSPORT promotion. Full terms and conditions at talksportwin.com. So for your chance to win, text WIN to 83338 now. Simon alongside me. Simon, interestingly, as talk about the World Cup gets ever closer, on the final day win over Brighton, Bruno Fernandes broke the record for the most assists in a single Premier League season. He secured 21 assists, surpassing the record of 20 set by Thierry Henry for Arsenal back in 2002-03 and Kevin De Bruyne for City 2019-20. Was this ever a thing in your day when you owned Palace?
No.
The concentrations on most assists?
No, not really. It's a new phenomenon, isn't it? I mean, wingers cross balls in, and now they're called assists. That's their job. The winger's job was to put balls in for centre forward to head in the back of the net, wasn't it? Back in the day, I suppose we look back on the day when Peter Barnes and Steve Coppell were playing in the 70s and gone, I wonder how many crosses they put in.
I know.
And now they're called assists.
You didn't do bonuses for assists?
No. And I don't know if they do now. I mean, maybe they do. I mean, we certainly do statistics for it, but I don't know whether clubs bonus these things. I can't imagine that they do, but maybe they do. Nothing's beyond the wit of man. Agents will rinse everything out of everything, won't they? But are you going to go to this argument with Bruno Fernandes and Roy Keane?
Well, I want to get to that. So we kicked off with assists, and we found out what Bruno's game largely comprises of, and he's had a heck of a season. Of that, there is no doubt. But yes, Bruno Fernandes has hit back at Roy Keane, accusing him of lying, basically. Last week, Keane described Fernandes as being at the centre of a circus act, suggesting he prioritises individual assists over the team's interests. It boils down to this. I think it was in the overlap. Keane said, after the Forest game, he got interviewed and he said, a few times I probably should have shot, but I made them passes. Wow. How could your mindset of a footballer be going into a match to be about an individual record? He won't be winning trophies, not with that mindset of the team. So basically, Keane misquoted Fernandes, whose actual post-match comments were, there were probably moments today when I should have passed instead of shooting. I'm very happy for the assist, but more than that, I'm happy for the win and to finish the season on a high.
Misunderstood him. He misunderstood him. Roy misunderstood him. Roy comes
misunderstood him.
Yeah, misunderstood him. And maybe deliberately misunderstood him. Maybe there's a bias. Once upon a time, when a lot of people with strong personalities will develop a view on someone and won't change it, and they believe and they think they've heard something in a certain way, and it references them back to what they think they are. Well, there was a time when Souness didn't think much of Fernandes as a leader. We didn't think Fernandes was a great leader in the studio when we talked about Fernandes and all his histrionics back in the day. Now I think he's progressed. I still don't think he could hold a candle to Roy Keane as a leader. And so Roy harks back to a time when United strode across the landscape of the Premier League as the most powerful team with the best players and dominating English football for a period of time. And he looks at these players as runts of the litter. He looks at them as, Johnny-come-latelys that are in a team that are winning nothing.
Well, Fernandes carried this on because he spoke on the CEO podcast, the Diary of a Chief Executive, Diary of a CEO podcast. And he spoke about this criticism that Keane had fired his way.
What I don't like was when people lie about things. And this case that you said about Roy Keane, basically what he said is a lie, because you can either you saw some other interview or you can't say that I said one thing that I've just not said. And luckily for me, is everything on record. And obviously, I think I've always showed a lot of respect for Roy Keane and for everything he's done for the club and for everything he's always said. I've never ever had something to say. I've never said something wrong. I even asked Ole his number to text him, to be honest, to have a word with him, to say like that I don't mind the criticism. I don't like when people lie about things that I say, because this is like, it goes a little bit over the top of the things that I think are acceptable. I accept his criticism. I accept that he might like me as a player or not, likes me as a person or not. But what I don't like is that he puts words in my mouth that has not been said. That's the only thing I don't like.
He's right, Simon, isn't he? He's right.
And that's fair
Criticise me if you want, but don't lie about me.
And I don't think he's lied about him. I think he's misunderstood what he said. I think he's interpreted it like he does with a lot of modern day phenomenons. Like we've just sat here going, do they get bonuses for assists? They probably bleed and will do in this new age of football. Do they get bonuses for doing the fundamental? They get bonuses for winning games, for turning up, for loyalty bonus, all this.
Yeah, but
nonsense.
you think Keane's the sort of guy that will say, "Oh, I misunderstood what he said"?
Well, that's up to Roy.
I think you'll wait a while for that.
Well, that's fine. That's up to Roy. That's Roy's limitations. I tell you what, I'll have 10 of Bruno Fernandes for 1 Roy Keane every day of the week. If I was building a team and had the privilege of having a player like Roy Keane in my team, irrespective of whether he's a pundit now that has strong views, strong personalities have strong opinions. And Bruno Fernandes can hold his own end, and he can have his own opinion, and he can push back against it. And Roy Keane will either say he's wrong or he won't, and we'll judge him by those standards. If Roy Keane isn't capable of saying he's wrong when he's wrong, then he's not quite the man that people think he is.
I don't think Roy appears to be in any mood to say he was wrong, because on his Instagram account, Keane shared a photo of a donkey with 2 lions in the background, and it had a caption of "Too much attention makes a donkey think he's a lion." So that doesn't appear to be Roy backing down, does it?
Does he have to back down then? By whose standards does he have to back down?
If you quoted somebody and you quoted them wrongly, and they hadn't said what you thought they'd said, you'd man up, wouldn't you?
Probably.
You'd front up.
Probably, because I think it would give me more strength to be right than in a different instance than being wrong and standing with it. Because if I was wrong, I still think that Fernandes is a weak leader. I think he's a good player. I think he's a good player in an average Manchester United side. And I think you'll win nothing with him of significance. And they really haven't won very much. But that doesn't alter the fact that Fernandes is, I think he's better than he was 2 or 3 years ago. I think myself and Souness should sit on this show going, never win anything with people like Fernandes. That's not a leader. Keane's a leader. Souness was a leader. I'll have those guys all day. And yes, I know they belong to a different era and a different generation, and an era and different generation that we should long lament for, because it's brand of modern day football, and no thank you very much.
Roy's a club legend, yeah. Do you think he's become a bitter club legend?
No, not really. I think he's set in his ways. I think he harks back to a time when United were, as I said, strode across English football with all the swagger, and I think he doesn't like the idea of them being an also-ran. And and he's basically saying, a day of a lion or life of a lamb, whatever it is. They're lambs. They're lambs. This Man United guys. They can't even breathe the same rarefied air as the Man United teams of the previous. So I think there's an element of that. I think people look at things and go, like I do sometimes, look at people going, how have you got? I hate people getting rewarded for mediocrity. I hate people getting things they don't really merit. And today's society hands it to them and lionises people. And I think Roy's a little bit like that. Now, I think it would be better for him to go, you know what? It's a strength to turn around and go, on this instance, I got it wrong, but I still think you're a flake. I'll take that from him. So he should, but he won't. And that's part of the appeal of Roy Keane, that he will stand. You can listen to the other ones, like Ian Wright, that never say anything about anything, or you can listen to Roy Keane. I'll have Roy Keane all day. I'll have him all day, and every now and again, he'll say something that he shouldn't say, or won't row back from something he has said. And you can draw your own opinion on him, and you can conclude that that might be a limitation of Roy, and he should do this. Who says he should? We? Who are we to tell him what he should and shouldn't do? If he wants to limit himself by not being able to climb down, that's up to him. And Bruno Fernandes can go up to him and say to him, "Oi, you," because I'm sure there's going to be plenty of times where their paths can cross if they want to, and pull him up himself and say, that's not right.
I mean, you heard there, Fernandes has asked for his number.
Well, did he get it or not then?
But Fernandes spoke.
Well, hold on.
Fernandes spoke.
Hold on.
Well,
did he get it?
No.
Well, if he's got his number, it should have been the next question from. And did you text him? And when you text him, did he respond to you, or did you phone him? Because you seem to be quite committed and having a big mouth in the studio. Did you pull Roy Keane up on it? Oh no, I didn't. Well, shut up then.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure that he would see it out, Bruno. By the way he was talking
why is
there. By the way he was talking there, he was quite committed. That he said, and as he said, I can take criticism. But if you're going to quote me, make sure the quote's right.
Jim, we live in this world, and there's a bunch of fannies out there that say one thing and do a complete another. So with respect, if he wanted to say something to Roy Keane, he can say it. And it's great for the media. It's great for Diary of a CEO.
Yeah.
It's great for the overlap to have this. It was great when Paul Scholes and Nicky Butt were saying other things when they were doing their own little podcast. It's a digital world. Get them all together, use the content, proliferate it, back round, it goes in a circle, and everyone gets attention out of it. It's a something and nothing story. Roy Keane doesn't think that he's a lion.
Yeah.
He doesn't think he's a great leader. And I concur with Roy. I don't think that Roy's right all the time. I think sometimes he gets put into a situation, like we all do sometimes, where you become a pantomime villain and all of a sudden you've said something and you think, well, I didn't kind of mean it that way. But I would have 10 Bruno Fernandes for 1 Roy Keane.
The thing is, we're live, so we can't misquote you. You can't be misquoted.
No, it's true.
And sadly, everything you say goes out there live.
Tragically for others to listen to it. Yeah.
and just did. It's 1:45.
like that. Not like
We
that.
don't put the ball out. We never get it out of play. Ref, you've got to blow up. Don't foul.
There we go.
Yes! Come on! Come on, Abs! Come on! Come on! Get in there! We're in the Premier League, son! Come on! We've done it!
Well done, Jay.
We've done it! Get in! All you mugs that wanted us down! All you mugs wanted us down! We've done it! Come on!
Well done. Abs, well done. Jay, before you go, I know you're doing the phone show. Just tell us. I mean, relief, right? Because it looked like at one point, Jay, you weren't getting out of this. How much credit does Deserby deserve? Because he's come in, and I can see how emotional you are. But this could have been a disaster, couldn't it?
Oh, it could have been an absolute disaster. Tottenham can't be in the Championship, right? We cannot be in the Championship. It's been a disaster season. So much has gone wrong. Deadwood all over the park. We have got to just completely change everything. Get rid of the Deadwood. Get rid of all these players who have been absolutely garbage. We've got the man in charge, Roberto De Zerbi. He is a top manager. Roberto De Zerbi will do things at this football club. Just let him have the reins and let him get on. But he's got to get rid of Richarlison, Moani, all of them. Get rid of them. They're crap. They're absolutely crap. And we find a way to do it. And I have to say a massive thanks to Aston Villa for not turning up on that day and gifting us 3 points. Because that's the one that kept us up.
We're forever.
Come on, the Spurs!
Forever in
Come on!
Jay, is there... I know the players are starting the place out for most of the season, but these lads here in the last 6 to 8 weeks, when they've needed to, they've also shown a little bit of fight, haven't they?
Yeah, some of them. Some of them. Some of them.
The reason we've stayed up is because of De Zerbi, not because of them. I couldn't...
Right.
Honestly, could you care less if you ever saw any of them ever again?
No, I don't care. I would have a fire sale. Fire sale.
Yeah.
The whole squad. Anyone who wants out, gone. Get rid.
Yeah.
Don't want to see any of them.
But again, Jay, this comes from upstairs now.
Oh, he's got to go as well. Joanne Lange, get rid of him. The first thing they should do after a full-time whistle is sack him.
Announce him.
Sack him.
Announce Vinay. Get rid of them. They should be first thing done tomorrow morning. Come on, son. Come on.
Jay, how many receipts have you got to give? How many receipts have you got in the back pocket?
Oh, I've got a few, mate. But you know what? It's embarrassing.
Yeah, you can't celebrate too much.
You want to celebrate, but
it's relief, isn't it?
It's embarrassing. It's actually embarrassing.
The Real Deal on talkSPORT with Selco Builders Warehouse. For the latest special offers, pick up this month's Real Deals in branch or view online at selcobw.com.
So we're going to finish today with who may be the real deal. As per Selco Builders Warehouse, Simon, it might well be Leeds United. First season back in the Premier League, ending with a 14th place finish and, of course, an FA Cup semi-final. Here's the thing, though. Does the Leeds ownership mission statement align with Daniel Farke's recent call for action? You might remember Daniel Farke publicly declared where he felt the club was at this particular time and where the club might need to go come the summer.
Yeah, I'm ambitious. I want to play something, to play something to play for, and I'm not the right choice if it's about like maintaining somehow the status quo. We had, as a club, exactly one good season in the last 25 years in the Premier League. A few years ago, the first season after Marcelo, after promotion. And we missed to build on it. This is more or less like what I think we need to do, not to miss in developing and just trying more of the same. It's important that we develop, and this is what I stand for. I know also what is possible here at Leeds United, and how much I'm connected to this club, and how much I believe in this club, and also what is capable to do. I think I've also expressed this in this way, but it's important also like that we're all on the same page, because I don't decide for the club. I don't own the club anyhow, and don't run the whole club. I run the sport, but for me it's important that we are 100% on the same page, and we have to speak about what we will do.
So Farke's basically saying, look, yeah, we have done well, we're pleased about that, but now let's go further. Let's take this on. Let's do more. The Leeds chairman, Parag Marath, Simon, addressed fans in an open letter. He seemed to take, I don't know, something of a more cautious approach. We remain ambitious, but measured and deliberate, understanding that it will take 3 long-fought seasons before we can truly operate like an established Premier League side. That doesn't seem to be Daniel's way of thinking.
Well, I mean, I think Daniel Farke, for a very mature manager that was able to change during the course of the season, weather the storms of people calling out his management at the beginning of the season, is a fool for having an internal conversation externally. There's no benefit in that. There's no. Well, who are you informing? What are you doing? Why are you doing it? You need to have that conversation internally. The media can lead you into that conversation, but you can still control your mouth. You can still maintain a view which isn't so, I think, unnecessary. This is a perfectly reasonable conversation for him to have with his owner. Perfectly reasonable conversation. And I want to push the envelope. I want to be ambitious. This club's got scale. We can do this. We can do this. And I want to be supported. He can have all those conversations. He can have them as robustly as he wants internally.
But does it need to take 3 seasons to establish themselves?
Well, I think probably.
Look at what Sunderland have done.
You're not established. How many teams have... So when we were raving about Sheffield United 3 or 4 years ago, raving about them, how they've come up and took the Premier League by storm, what happened to them? We've seen many teams go up and think they've arrived before their journey's begun. Wonderful. First tick of the box. You're building a team to stay in the Premier League, to build from the... How you build a house is you put a foundation down, and then the house goes up and it stays up. You can build these wonderful houses that all look great on the eye, and then they fall down because they're not built with quality.
So we've got 3 more years of building the foundation.
Well, no, they're not saying they haven't got ambition. They're saying, first of all, you've got PSR that governs you first and foremost. Second of all, you need to make the right decisions, educated decisions, not the whims of a manager that when something bigger and better comes along, will leave if it suits him. So it's wonderful that he's playing to the gallery. Which gallery is he playing to? The Leeds fan base or the media? Then you're a fool.
But is he?
He's a fool. He's a fool.
He and what the players have done, to be fair to them, have given the ownership a launch pad to go more. And then you get Marath coming in this summer. Instead of profit and sustainability rules, the squad cost ratio will impact our transfer market approach. And every Leeds fan goes, oh, God.
But it's true. Unfortunately, might not like to hear it. Get the grown-ups in the room every now and again to have a conversation about the reality of what it looks like, rather than La La Land and Narnia and Fantasy Land. Everyone can just go and spend what they want. We can't. So you've got to get grown up every now and again to have a conversation. And a football manager talking about his area of expertise, he defined it quite purposefully. I don't own the club, I run the football operation, so shut up then and get on with running the football operation, or don't and leave and go work for someone else if you don't want to.
So was it whatever it was, Land, when Regis Lebrun might have said at the start, which he didn't, but he could have said, I fancy us for Europe this season.
But he didn't.
The Sunderland ownership would have been, oh, hang on a second.
But he didn't.
Don't be crazy.
They've caught a wave, and fantastic fair play to them. And Leeds could have got to the FA Cup final, and they didn't. And Leeds have had a great season. They've been, and of the 2 achievements, Sunderland's is the greater, because Sunderland's Leeds have been back in the Premier League in recent times, and Sunderland have been out for some time and have been in decline, have come back and boom, straight through the divisions again. So fair play to them, got landed in Europe. Let's see how they go next year. But it's nothing wrong with being ambitious. There's nothing wrong with pushing the envelope and demanding that the expectations that you have of the achievements are matched to some extent by your owner's capabilities. Is everything wrong and stupid and immature by doing it in the media? To what end? If you have a conversation internally and your boss says no, like we had the conversation with Martin O'Neill, he talked about his relationship with Randy Lerner and how when he fell out with Randy Lerner because once upon a time Randy Lerner stopped saying yes. And the moment he stopped saying yes, Martin had a turn with him.
What's wrong with what Farke said?
Because it's
let's dream.
He's not saying that. He's saying that unless I get what I want, I don't believe that maintaining the status quo. He's not saying
Let's
that.
go on to even bigger and better things.
Yes, but he's saying it in a way which is
What's he going to say? Yeah, it's been quite a season, but, all these cost implications.
You can't turn around and say that the vision that you have for the football club, not understanding the finances of it, not being responsible for the finances of it, is greater than those that have a greater responsibility than you. You'll be gone. We talk about owners being custodians. You talk about owners only being there for a temporary period of time. Managers are even worse, and they have none of the consequences of the ramifications of bad decisions that are made by either managers or managers and owners. So the sensible thing is to get an agreed perspective between the ownership and the manager, and then convey it in a uniform fashion. Why would you have some twit of a manager go off the reservation and stand there, start talking about what he thinks is the necessity for this football club? And if you're going to do something different, then I'm not the one for you.
The twit of a manager has just guided Leeds back in the Premier League, ending with a 14th place finish.
His job was to keep Leeds in the Premier League.
So if you had a quick phone call to Daniel Farke this lunchtime and you're Marath, what would you be saying?
Listen, first and foremost, I would have had a different relationship with him in the first place. But secondly, I would have said you've done a fantastic job. I supported you when the background noise was to get you out the door. I've given you an opportunity, not the other way around. This is a big football club that you're lucky to be at. You've done a great job. I'm pleased with you. You've done the job I anticipated you would do. So let's get together and make sure that we're on the same page. I will support you as much as I possibly can to meet my... You think your ambitions are bigger than mine, son? You think you as the manager have bigger ambitions than me? Pack it in. Get in line and we'll get a strategy that works for everybody and everyone will win. In the meantime, we won't be able to have media making observations about your stupidity of talking out of turn.
Right. You can imagine Daniel. Okay, then I get it.
He'd go back to cabaret, wouldn't he?
Good to hear from you this lunchtime. Thanks for that. Simon, you're unbelievable. Thank you so much. And that was The Real Deal with Selco Builders Warehouse. For the latest special offers, pick up this month's Real Deals in branch review online at selcobw.com. It is now coming up to 1 o'clock on this Tuesday lunchtime, because yesterday was Monday and that was a bank holiday. It was hot then. It's going to be hot this afternoon. Stay cool, stay hydrated, and we'll be back tomorrow at 10.
The Real Deal on talkSPORT with Selco Builders Warehouse. Check out this month's Real Deals at selcobw.com.
Let's get back to some calls. Go to Darren. He's a Spurs fan. All right, Daz?
All right, Daz.
Hi. How are you, Daz?
Relieved. I'm not celebrating like some of the fans that have come on from Spurs. I think they're ridiculous. The only thing I did when the whistle went, I turned to my mates who I go with every time, and we said we're relieved, and we walked out the stadium because we just had enough. And the way fans are behaving, and calling out